Welcome into episode 95 of JD's Empire Sports Talk. I apologize in advance for the not so smooth introduction just because our guy Biggie is not here tonight. But Corey, our guy Corey Ayub is here tonight. He made his debut on JD Empire Sports Talk Sunday, so really not that long ago. It's only Tuesday. It feels like it's Thursday, and as football fans, we want it to be Sunday. But Corey, how are we doing, man? Happy to have you back. I reached out to you late, and I was like, you know what? Corey's going to do this. I have faith in him, and he did it. Great job, Corey. I got to give you credit for that.
Thank you, JD. Sunday feels so long ago when I was on, but it feels good to be back, ready to talk some ball. Can't believe for you, episode 95 already. Holy, but yeah, I'm excited.
I know. Episode 95, we're almost at 100. One episode 100 happens. Not so sure when that's going to be yet, but I'm looking to do more of just bringing on everybody that's contributed in the show. So, from the beginning to up until now, and there's going to be no end. I plan on going, thousands and hopefully millions of episodes by the time this is, eventually over. But yeah, we'll start with football. I just want to give everyone an overview of what we're going to do first, like we usually do. Corey obviously does watch when he's not on with us, but just so we get Corey nice and comfortable for the viewers. And I know the comment section is going to be firing up soon, and we want to make sure Corey's ready for that. Because Corey, I know I told you off camera, but the comment section usually gets going not so early. It usually happens a little bit into the show, but when they do get going, it doesn't stop, and sometimes it doesn't even make any sense. I don't even know what the hell they're talking about, but that's why we love them, and you're going to grow to love them too. And I'm sure you're going to become a fan favorite. Biggie, he takes the comments and they kind of go after him. They attack him a lot, but I don't think that's going to be the case for you. I think you're going to be on the fans' good side once we get going here. But before we start, we got the NFL, which is a lot. We got the MLB, who had some Hall of Fame announcements. I know I talked about who was making the Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago, but they announced what team they're going to go in with, which is important. We'll do some NBA because the trade deadline is off to a rollicking start, even though we have 2 days left. I mean, there's been like 5 trades in the past few hours. Some guys rumored. And then hockey, we'll do college basketball, just the top 25 because nothing really noteworthy has happened. Then Corey's debut of also, I know I said chalk moment, but also how you doing? Corey's going to get a how you doing debut. And then the pick 'em at the end, which I'll give Biggie's pick. Corey will give his pick, and I'll give mine, and I'll also do the standings update. But let's do it, Corey. So we know what it's gonna be this weekend, Sunday night, Super Bowl 60. Cannot believe it's Super Bowl 60, and just like the years just keep rolling by. But we got the Patriots versus the Seahawks rematch of Super Bowl 49 when the Patriots won 28-24. We know what happened in that game, which I'll hold off exactly what happened in that game if no one remembers until a little bit. But we have some things to talk about here. So first, I think the elephant in the room is can Sam Darnold keep doing it? Because, Corey, I don't know if you've seen my takes on the Seahawks this year, but I've been wrong in every one. I've literally been 0 for the year on them. I just didn't believe in the Seahawks, and we haven't actually even talked about Seattle. So that's why I want to hear your first thoughts live here. Is Seattle going to do it? Do you think they're going to do it? Don't give a prediction on who you think is going to win, but do you think they're going to show up? Let's put it that way.
I think they have a good shot, honestly. I mean, I've had the same predictions as you. I didn't think they would be this well put together of a team. Sam Darnold, I said during your live stream, I mean, Seattle took a $100 million gamble on him. And, high risk, high reward. I mean, first year in Seattle, and they have a chance to win a Lombardi. I mean, I think that's a win for the organization right there. But truly impressed. I mean, JSN we knew was great, but he's coming to his own. Cooper Kupp, a lot of people, were kind of skeptical because he kind of had to downgrade to a wide receiver too. I mean, it was kind of going that way with Puka and with Cooper being injured, but he's fit right into that system. So yeah, without giving too much away, and we'll talk about New England, but I think Seattle has a very good chance to finish strong and just show everybody that, they weren't this kind of mid-tier team that everyone was really expecting them to be coming into this season.
And I think that's perfect because I think we were me and you are usually on the same page with certain takes, and we're looking at it and we're like, when is the shoe going to drop when Sam Darnold just screws up? When is it going to happen? and it just, the 49ers, they play even throughout the regular season. The end of that regular season was playoff games for them because they were trying to get that number 1 seed, which everyone wants. But even when the playoffs started, he beat the 49ers. He didn't have to do much that game because the special team defense was great, but he did enough in that game to win. And then I said Sunday. I meant to say Sunday, but now we're 2 weeks removed from it. When they played the Rams, and he won them that game. That's we got to give him credit when credit's due. And I'm not saying I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. Everyone knows I'm a Jets fan. Sam Darnold was here. He got passed by other teams as well. So it's not only the Jets because the Jets always had to screw up. But what I'm trying to get at here is the fact that Sam Darnold just keeps doing it. He just keeps doing it. Even last year, the Vikings clearly didn't believe in him. I think that's the team you can go at and say, damn, they're just as stupid as the Jets are. They had this guy right there for them, and they're like, nah, we're good. But we'll go with JJ McCarthy. We're okay.
Yeah, we'll take 9.
Yeah, we'll take 9, and I think he's going to be good for us, which obviously the Vikings look dumb for that now. But yeah, I couldn't agree with more with you on that. It's just the fact that Sam Darnold and just the Seahawks team in general, I think you look at them, or we did look at them in the beginning of the year, we're like, would they even make the playoffs? Like that's how I was thinking of it. When you have the 49ers and the Rams in your own division, that's tough to begin with, and they were better than the both of them. That's crazy to me. And the fact that they just kept doing it, they kept answering the bell over and over and over again. They shut me up, and I guess, like you said, you were kind of in agreement with the Seahawks, and we didn't really think much of them, that they kind of shut you up as well. So I think we're both pulling for them now just because they proved us wrong. We can't. What else can we, Corey? What else can we say? We can't say anything about this team.
You can't say anything else,
right? They've won.
No.
They've won every way. They've won every single way possible. Sam Darnold took over a game. The defense and special teams has won games for them this year. Mike McDonald, I think, is a pretty damn good head coach for his second year. And they just answer the bell every single way. And then with the Patriots, we can flip over to New England. Yeah, I know it's the New England Patriots, but I feel I talked with Biggie about this. I think it's a little different feel around New England. Hear me out here. I mean, you may not hear me all the way through here, but I just want to say this. When you look at New England with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, every Super Bowl they went into, what were they perceived as like what would they be thought of going into that game, like against that other team? Who was expected to win?
Well, the Patriots. I mean,
exactly.
Obviously.
Exactly. And now I don't think that's the case. I know it's a whole totally different situation. Belichick is long gone. Brady is long gone. Brady's in the booth now. Belichick's coaching at your UNC. North Carolina Tar Heels. Guys have moved on, obviously, but it's still the Patriots. That organization is still, prestige in the NFL just because of what they did the last 25, 30 years or so. And I think this time, though, the Patriots it's weird because Vrabel is using it to his advantage. I don't know if you can agree with me on this. I'll let you take over here. That Vrabel's using the underdog mentality for the New England Patriots is crazy to me. But, I mean, it's worked for them, right? I mean, look what they did this year. And I feel coming into this game, too, they're not expected to win by anybody, which, I mean, I would get a little nervous about that. A Patriots team that has no expectations in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, for Vrabel to use the underdog mentality in this stage of the Patriots timeline, I guess you can call it, I could see it after, they went hell and back with Cam Newton and just how awful they looked at points. But I will say, to get back to this point in what was it, like 7 years, 8 years, I think they said, like 7 years, something like that.
7 years, yep.
Like, kudos to them, because like that's hard to do. There's teams like the Steelers where they're making the playoffs, but they're one and done, or the Jets who have had just in your, to keep it clean, a legacy of failure the last, X amount of years. But yeah, I mean, the Patriots, I think they're going to make this competitive. Even the Seahawks, again, not to spoil this game, but I love Drake May. I think the last few games, though, in this postseason, he hasn't really blown me away. I mean, I know Denver, the conditions in that second half were brutal. Even that game against Houston really didn't get going till like kind of late. So he's really going to have to play the game of his life against the Seattle team, who, as we've said, they're all around just incredible.
They are. They're probably just we could have said that before, but the most complete team in the league this year, just up and down, everything they got, exactly what it takes. And that brings you. Brought up Drake May. Drake May's been banged up, which I think they kind of kept this a little bit under the radar throughout. Maybe this is part of the reason why he hasn't had that much success in the postseason because, yeah, like you said, the game against the Chargers, they didn't do anything really. They just won the game because they scored 16 and the Chargers scored like 3 or whatever the case was. The Houston game, later in the game, he got going, and then Denver was just a mess in terms of the weather. But he hasn't really won them any of those games. That's the point you were trying to make, and I agree. He hasn't really won them the games, and for this game, he's going to have to go out there and win it. But the fact that do you think he's truly banged up, or do you think it was more of, yeah, we're kind of taking precautions here. We're kind of thinking about, yeah, Drake hasn't looked too great in the postseason, so let's just throw this out there. A little banged up with the shoulder injury, but nothing serious. But let's make it a little more serious than what it is. We'll hold him out of practice for last week because last week's practice don't really count. This is the week that really counts. Do you think that the Patriots are kind of playing those little mind games as well? Because it's still at the end of the day, it's the Patriots. Every time the Patriots say something, I don't believe it. That's just the way it's going to be for me the rest of my life. Based off the way Belichick speaks, and I think Vrabel comes from that same kind of cut of cloth there, playing for Belichick. Never coached with him, but played for him for a long time. Do you think it's real? Do you think Drake May is actually like hurt, or do you think it's more of like a tactical advantage, if they want to call it that?
I don't know. It's tough. I mean, when I saw this question in the show notes, I thought about it for a second, and in my gut of guts, I feel like they're taking precaution. I feel like they're trying to make, Coach McDonald think a little bit. He's locked in. He doesn't see his kids that often. Like, he's really just, thinking football. And I think when he hears that, like, the wheels are going to be turning. The game plan he wants to throw at him, it might change. So I wouldn't be surprised if Vrabel's just playing some head games and, taking precautions. Do I believe he's, a little banged up? Yep, possibly. I think so. I mean, it's a long season, but is it more so taking precautions? I believe so.
Okay, so you're kind of in the middle on this one. You're trying to play nice with both sides. I get it. I was just like, for me, I'm just a Patriots hater, so I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't believe it. There's something behind it. They're playing an angle here, and I like where you're coming from though. You don't have the Patriots hate like I do, so that's why you're like, yeah, I'm kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt. Vrabel is.
That's coming from a Steelers fan too.
Yeah, exactly. But that's funny because I was thinking about this. I'm like, Drake May in the injury report with a shoulder injury this late in the year. I don't know, if this late in the year, you don't really even put that on the injury. But there's no one really injured at this point. It's either you're totally out or you're in. Like, there's no in between. At this late in the game. But we were supposed to have another little bit of a list here, but we can actually kind of just do this on the fly. Some like matchups that you're looking forward to in the game. If anything that catches your eye, I could start us off here and we can break them all down, and then we can get into a list I put together, my top 5 Super Bowls in my existence. I may look like I'm older to the comments section. They always like to make fun of me, but I am only 21, so we'll get to that in a little bit. But a few matchups that come to mind for me, I think JSN versus the Patriots secondary. I don't know if it's going to be Gonzalez solely on JSN. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, or they're going to have a mix of guys, Carlton Davis, Marcus Jones. I don't know if they're going to mix it all around. What the Patriots are going to do, I think that's something to watch. Like, you look at the first couple of possessions on Sunday, we got to look for JSN, obviously, because he's going to show up. But who is he going to be going up against? Because I think Gonzalez against JSN, that presents a lot of challenges for JSN because of the fact that, Smith and Jigma is obviously a talented receiver, but he's on the shorter end of, tall height. Like he's on the shorter end of that. And Gonzalez is lanky guy. He gets in your face if he has to. Like I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a chess match back and forth. Like is Gonzalez only going to cover him? Is he going to shadow him across the field, or is Carlton Davis, who's been I think a boomer bust type of corner, especially in the postseason. He's been really good with the interceptions or giving up chunk plays, which he did, both in that Houston game. From where I remember, it was a little bit of a back and forth type of thing. But in the next matchup, I think that Seattle's offensive line, very underrated. I think people don't give him as much credit as they should because, Sam Darnold's been good this year, but Sam Darnold's good in part because that O-line is protecting him tremendously, which I don't know if they were even sold that this O-line can even protect them the way they have this year. And the Patriots pass rush, I think, is mid. I think we can agree on that. It's not great. It's not bad. It's kind of in the middle to me. Will they be able to get home? Because we know Sam Darnold is great when he has protection. He can just carve up a defense, like he did against the Rams. But when he faces the heat a little bit, what is he going to be able to do to that? How is he going to respond? And I think that's for the Patriots, you got to be able to rush the passer as much as you can. I know they're a team that likes to do, they 4 or 5 guys sub out every couple of plays. If you have the depth, you can do that. I'm curious to see what that's going to be. But those are my two. JSN versus the Patriots secondary because we don't know who is actually going to cover him. And then the Patriots pass rush versus Seahawks O-line, which I think is going to be a back and forth. And then if you don't say one of the other ones I'm thinking of, I'll throw that one in there at the end. But there's another one that people may not actually even think about, but I think it is going to be important. But what do you got?
I mean, the two matchups for me has been kind of go hand in hand. I would say Travion Henderson against Seattle's defensive line because, that last game against Denver, didn't really get going.
He hasn't even played that much.
That's what I mean. He hasn't really even played that much. I feel like
I think it's going to
now
change.
With the Super Bowl, absolutely. I think he's going to be the star of the show. If it comes out that, Drake May's really hurt and he kind of has to be a game manager, I feel like Travion is going to be, where all the offense is going to go to. And then obviously the second one, the other side of the coin with Kenneth Walker and New England, because Kenneth Walker ran all over San Francisco. And I feel like he can be a dangerous weapon in the Super Bowl also. And I just think both defensive lines, they got to be on their toes because both of these guys are just lethal on the ground. I wish New England turned to Travion super early in the season because, they went to Ramondre and Ramondre was kind of hot and cold. He just didn't know how to hold on to a football at times. Those are the two that I'm looking for because I love both of these guys. We had Saquon balling out last year, and I think these two have just been, flipping the script this season.
Henderson's a wild card. I agree. I know we don't really talk much betting on this game, and we will in the future months. When time passes, when I'm no longer a college athlete. But Henderson's lines are. I haven't checked, but I'm sure they're not that high because of the fact that he barely has played in the last 2 games, which like you said, it was kind of been a roller coaster type thing with those two guys. It was Stevenson to start. Henderson took over with a home run hitting running back. Like if he gets through, he's gone. Like there's no one even getting him. And in a game like this, they're going to I think, Stevenson's good for gets 5 yards and gets 4 yards, kind of wears down the defense. But Henderson's like he can just go. He can run for 30, 40 yards at a clip if he really can get going. That's a perfect one. And then with Charbonnet being out, I was kind of skeptical. I wanted to see what Walker would do with the, larger role. Cause Walker is a starter. Kenneth Walker has been the starter for Seattle since he's been there. But Charbonnet has always been a little bit of a guy they mix in and out, and that he's not there. So Walker had to be the guy, and he was great against the Rams, especially the first quarter. I think they gave it to him 3 times on the goal line, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah.
5 or so against the Rams, and he didn't get there right away, but he got in. That's the point you're trying to make as well. So if both of these guys, like Henderson's, going to be a guy that could, if he plays a lot, he can just score a 50-yarder. But Walker, he'll just keep getting those carries, body blows. And by the fourth quarter comes, if he's able to really take over, that's huge. And the fifth key to me, or the fifth, I can't really call it a matchup just because it's the 2 kickers. But the 2 kickers is something to keep an eye on because Jason Myers, proven vet, he's been there, he's done it. So I think that the Seahawks should have way more confidence in him. And with the Patriots, they have a rookie kicker, they believe in him. But Borregales has been shaky in the postseason. I know the weather has been a factor, and it really shouldn't be in San Francisco. But who the hell knows nowadays with the way the weather is going? But I think that the Seahawks should be more comfortable with their kicking situation. Maybe before the first half ends, they have only 20 seconds and one timeout, and they can get 15 to 20 yards to set up a field goal. They might go for it, where the Patriots would be like, you know what? I don't know. I don't trust this guy. What if what if the kick gets blocked? What if he just misses it and leaves time on the clock? Like, I think those are the type of things. Yeah, anyone could worry about it, but I think the Seahawks have to worry about it a little bit more. But that was perfect. I really like that. So we have JSN against the Patriots secondary. We got Seahawks offensive line versus the Patriots defensive line. Trayvon Henderson's a wild card, like you were saying, against the Seahawks. We got Kenneth Walker. What is he going to do against the Patriots defense? And then the two kickers battling it out for some points. But before we move off the game itself, Corey, you have anything else in regards to the big game that's going to be Sunday night?
Well, I think what you just said about the Patriots and the kicking, I think that goes back to why they kind of have this underdog mentality. Vrabel would never say it out loud, but he's probably thinking to himself, I got a shaky kicker right now. I'm hoping the weather should be fine in beautiful California. Is my, future star quarterback going to be okay? Are we going to be able to use Travion effectively? Like, all these things, all these puzzle pieces add up. And, if one of those dominoes fall, it might be a disaster come Sunday night. So that's why, as much as you think of the Patriots, you don't believe them and whatnot. If I had to play devil's advocate, I could all of these matchups could definitely, go back to them being an underdog mentality and something to look out for.
Yeah, like I that's what I've been hearing, and I've been talking to other people. They're like, yeah, Patriots have no chance. Patriots have no chance. I'm like, you can't just say that. Like, they're here for a reason. Yeah, we've seen our fair share of Super Bowls like last year, which was a joke. Hopefully we don't get a game like that again, where a team just gets dominated from start to finish. Because we had a good run. Before last year, we had like a 3 or 4 year stretch of where we had close games, back and forth. Hopefully this year, kind of gets us back on that trend. But I wouldn't say that. Like, that's what I know I make fun of it. Oh, the Patriots have no chance, but that's what the people are saying. Oh, no. The Patriots have no chance. No way. Like, that you can't say that. Like, they're there for a reason. Yeah, they may have a few more question marks. That I think people thought the Seahawks had the more question marks, but now it's obviously set in stone throughout the postseason. Yeah, maybe the Patriots have a few more question marks than the Seahawks do. Like, the given is there. Seahawks know what they got. They know what they're going to do. But if the Patriots question marks, like you brought up one of them, Trayvon Henderson, if he can get going, if they give him the chance to get going, which Josh McDaniels is a smart guy, he probably will be able to get him going, then that changes everything, which is exactly what the point we're trying to make. But before we move off Super Bowl talk, we have a list I wanted to put together, which I haven't did a list in a while, actually. But, in this time of the year, Super Bowl's happening, gotta have a list. But like I was saying before, I'm only 21, so I know the fans like to say I look older, or I don't know if they're trolling me, whatever the case is. But I am only 21 years old, so I still have a lot of life ahead of me. But in my life, I wanted to rank the top 5 Super Bowls that I think I've seen so far. People may argue with me on this. You can go ahead. I don't care if you go in the comments, you attack me, Corey. You can. I know if you feel a certain way, you're going to jump in. And to me, it's kind of bad. Not bad, but it was difficult because the first 5, I would say probably 8 years of my life, I don't really remember any of the Super Bowls. So I couldn't put, like, obviously seeing it now, but the Packers beating the Steelers in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was a good Super Bowl just because the game was great, but I don't remember it. Like, I wasn't old enough to, actually sit there and remember. I think it was like 6 years old at the time or something like that. So, like, I can't really put that on my list. I got to be fair to, not just the viewers, but I got to be fair to the list. Like, I got to be, a legit top 5. But let's do it. So number 5, we'll work our way up here to make it a little more suspense. Let the suspense build here. But number 5, I have the Patriots beating the Seahawks 28-24. Epic finish with the Seahawks, throwing an interception at the goal line, which we got to a little bit when we first started the show, how the Patriots beat them, and this is a rematch of the game. The Seahawks had a 24-14 lead. I remember this like it was yesterday. It's kind of the first, not the first one that sticks, but the first one that really, like, I can vividly, talk about everything that happened in that game. I remember Doug Baldwin catching a touchdown. There was like another, not Tyler Lockett, Rico or Lockett or something like that, like a Ricardo Lockett, something like that. I remember the name vaguely, but those guys were having a good game. Seahawks let Tom Brady get back in the game. He tied it up and then eventually took the lead. And then the Seahawks had a chance at the very end of the game. And, Russell Wilson throws an interception. Corey's shaking his head because we all wanted to see the Patriots lose.
I'm not even a Seahawks fan, and that just it sends shivers down my spine. Like I remember watching that game. I'm just like, oh my god, like what are we doing? Like what was that? Like
it was crazy. That was crazy, and the fact that Marshawn Lynch is right there, and you don't even hand the ball off to him. And then my dad reminded me today. Shout out Section 225B if you're watching. He runs the account, obviously, if no one knows that. He told me that one of the guys the Jets are interviewing for their offensive coordinator position was actually the play caller for the Seahawks back then. So let's keep doing a great job. Listen, if you screw up, you're for the Jets, man. Any way they can find you, they will. They will go dumpster diving, like we like to say about what the Mets were doing earlier in the year. But they will go out there and find you if you know how to do things wrong. Of course, I had to get the Jets in there somehow, right? But that's number 5. So Super Bowl 49. Patriots beating the Seahawks 28-24. Then number 4. So this is actually 3 years earlier. I remember it just because, being from New York, I know a lot of Giants fans. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. But the Giants beating the Patriots 21-17. This is the second time the Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Obviously, the first time was preventing the Patriots from going undefeated, which was huge. But doing it twice, especially when you look back at it now, Corey, Brady, he lost 3 Super Bowls, 3 or 4 Super Bowls, whatever it was. I believe it was 3. Eagles and then the Patriots twice. The fact that he lost to the Giants twice in the fashion that he did, that's a memory to me. Like, the Giants held down Tom Brady to 17 points. Are you kidding me? That's an accomplishment right there. And Eli gets Brady for the second time in the Super Bowl. And probably, I know he's not there yet, but Eli Manning will probably be in the Hall of Fame not just because of that, but that's going to be a huge part in winning 2 Super Bowls, and both of them being against Tom Brady is at that time period is crazy. But that was Super Bowl 46. That was 3 years prior. Then number 3 for me is Super Bowl 58. So I know you're going to get, he's talking about the Chiefs. Oh, no, he's talking about the Chiefs. But the Chiefs beat the 49ers 25-22. I joked about this earlier. Corey actually brought it up, but I did win a bet. No, I didn't win a bet. I did win a bet that day. Mahomes won that game in overtime in a back and forth game. I remember that was overtime, but it was like down to the last 2 seconds. Like the Chiefs snapped the ball with 5 seconds left in overtime, which you don't really see that happen very, very often. And I remember he rolled out to the right to McCole Hardman, who was a Jet that same year. And on Hard Knocks, I always have to bring the Jets up. I apologize, guys. But on Hard Knocks, Oz was that guy that he knows Oz something he
Oz Perman, the mentalist.
His name is. Him. He was predicting the Jets to beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Similar score, didn't get the score right, but he had McCole Hardman catching the game-winning touchdown from Aaron Rodgers, which actually turned out to be Patrick Mahomes because the Jets traded him to the Chiefs that same year. But yeah, he caught the game-winning touchdown, which I was watching. I was celebrating the fact that I won a bet, but I was also like, damn, this guy just caught the game-winning touchdown. He was on our team this year, and look what we had in week 1. We thought we had it all, and it turned into this. But yeah, it is a memorable Super Bowl just because it was a classic, especially in my lifetime. I know that that's the point I want to make here. I'll post it later in the week as well. It is the list of my life, my 21 years, because I'm sure someone's gonna. Oh, what about 1980? What do you mean? No, I wasn't born then. So I can't do that. Number 2, Super Bowl 56. The Rams beating the Bengals 23-20. Matthew Stafford rights all the Detroit Lion wrongs that happened throughout his career. We remember Goff for Matthew Stafford. It was more of the Rams look like they want to do something. Stafford, can he do it? Can he do it in the postseason? Because he never did it. He never actually did it for the Lions. Goes to LA and does it. Beats Tom Brady on the road. Won a few other games along the way to get to the Super Bowl to play actually in SoFi Stadium. So that was the second year in a row of having our home team host the Super Bowl. And then Stafford, man, Odell got hurt in that game, if you remember, towards
that's right.
Having a hell of a year. That one came to my mind there. They had a lot go right for them that year. Cooper Kupp was amazing. Obviously, that was his best year, I think, of his career with Stafford, that first go around with them. They beat the Bengals. Joe Burrow has yet to be back. So that's something that I know we talked about that the other night as well. A young quarterback getting to the Super Bowl. Maybe they ever get back. Joe Burrow's been unable to get back, but that was a crazy good game. Rams won at the end as well. So I kind of have a feeling, this may be a hot take. I kind of feel that this week Super Bowl, this year's Super Bowl, is going to be very similar to that. Not as high scoring as we think it could be, but a game-winning touchdown by Sam Darnold at the end. And throws it to someone. I don't know. Rashid Shaheed catches a touchdown. I'm thinking of. I kind of feel that can have that same type of feel to it. I don't know why. I just have that right now. And then number 1, Super Bowl 52. I love every second of this just because I'm not an Eagles fan, obviously, but the Eagles did win the Super Bowl over the Patriots, 41-33. If we remember the legend of Nick Foles, man, Saint Nick, he got it done. This was just a culmination of what they had to go through. Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate, if we remember that year. He goes down halfway through, maybe a little over halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Nick Foles, we know who he was, obviously. He's been a long-time backup. Nick Foles, he'll probably help them make the playoffs because their record was so good. But Nick Foles, is he going to even win a playoff game? Can he even do anything to help this team? Oh, he won a playoff game. He won a few of them. He won the Super Bowl. We got the Philly special that came from that game. Corey, we had a lot happen in that game. And the fact he beat Tom Brady just makes me smile every single day. And it was great. It was great to see. Alshon Jeffrey caught a touchdown, if you remember that name.
Talking the That's a throwback.
I know, right? It was a nice pull. Alshon Jeffrey, man. Nick Foles, legend of Nick Foles. So that has to be my number 1 Super Bowl in my life, just because of what the Eagles went through that year, who they beat, how much they scored in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's a ton of points in a Super Bowl game. And then before, Corey, I let you dive in on this list. Honorable mentions I had 2, Super Bowl 51 and Super Bowl 57. I just threw those in there as well as, honorable mentions. But anything you got on this list before we move on to other NFL news that we have? Because, of course, the NFL always loves being in the headlines.
I love the list. I will say, though, I think Super Bowl 51 should have been on the list. I think that's just one of the classic Super Bowls, that Brady comeback. Just, when have we seen a comeback like that, ever? Like, it's just, you can argue each of these. I still think number 1 is, the story of Nick Foles. I don't think anything will ever beat that. But I don't know where I'd put Super Bowl 51, but I think, if I had a little bit to make a list of my own, I think that would definitely be on there, because it was just such a memorable game. I remember watching that and I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God, like, he's actually going to do it. Like, because, I'm like, you can't count out Brady, unfortunately, you hate to hear that. But like, when that game was going on and then next thing you know, they're crawling their way back, I'm like, oh man, like, I just have this sick feeling they're going to do it. Because Atlanta, Matt Ryan, they just couldn't do anything. That whole second half, they could not do anything. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a great list. As a Steelers fan, I'd put Super Bowl 43, Santonio Holmes. Like, that was just, I don't remember that game too much. I remember bits and pieces of it because I was young also. Yeah, but that was, classic Big Ben, and just that catch from Santonio Holmes at the end of the game, like that, just another memorable game. There's so many memorable ones, even as you say, some of the people that, might say, why aren't you guys talking about the Super Bowls from the 70s or the 80s? All right, there's probably some great games out there, but, I wasn't born in that era either, so I can't time travel.
Yeah, did you like my my imitation of someone from the 1980s? Where's the 1980s? Yeah, but yeah, no, I the only reason why I think it was more recency bias. I probably would have left if I was a little older. I probably would have had Super Bowl 51 in and probably would have taken out either or moved down 56 or 58. I just kind of feel. I had 52 on there. I don't know. It was tough. It was a very tough list to make. I was on. I'm going to be honest with you. I was looking at this for like over an hour. I was trying to move things around. I was like, I don't know. But I agree. If you had to put 51 in, I probably would have taken 46 out just because I remember 51 a little more. And then with 46, yeah, you don't want to take anything away. But the Giants winning against the Patriots the second time, yeah, it's good. It's an accomplishment, but not as much, as the first one. That's good. But that's perfect. And if I was like you said with the Steelers, if the Steelers won, if the Jets won for me, I would have obviously put them in there because that would have been. I don't care if I was 1 year old, that would count. That would count for me, and I would obviously have probably watched that over and over and over again. But yeah, that's a great list, and I agree with the insight you threw in there as well. 51, the fact that Brady came back from that is insane. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely receive some heat for that on especially TikTok when you're just a Patriots hater. You don't like us. Yeah, man, I don't. I'm gonna be honest, I don't. But
At least you're transparent about it, you know?
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna let you know. Like
You're
I don't like
honest.
the Patriots. People know I don't like the Yankees. Obviously, that's why we have CT to do the Yankee stuff. Because why would I sit here and talk about the Yankees? I don't like them. There's teams across Boston Celtics couldn't stand them. If that was the only team left on the earth, I wouldn't root for them. That shout out, we're doing that Sunday, Knicks versus Celtics live stream. So tune into that. But yeah, the teams like that, I can't stand them. But let's do some other NFL news here. Where we're actually going to stay on the Patriots. We can't escape them. Robert Kraft snubbed from this year's Hall of Fame after Belichick was, everyone knows it's this year's Hall of Fame, but news keeps coming out every day, every week. Belichick was snubbed last week. We talked about that, but I want to hear your thoughts on that as well. And Robert Kraft as well. So can the trifecta happen when Tom Brady's eligible, and will he be the next one? We got some breaking news, actually. James Harden's been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and the second pick. Wow. All right. So the Cavs are pushing the chips to the table, see what other teams do as well. But that's probably the most notable name to be moved so far. I'm going to put it that way, so far. But yeah, Robert Kraft snubbed, Belichick snubbed as first ballot. Not saying they will never get in, but first ballot, they should have been first ballot. But the thing I want to talk about here, Patriots, we know they won. They've had great success there. I think that the fact of the way they've acted, the way they did things, I think plays a huge part in this, especially for Belichick. I know, Corey, me and you, we're trying to get into this media field. We're trying to put our name out there for ourselves. And if we're out there trying to interview a well-known coach and the coach isn't giving us answers, and, fast forward 20 years later, and we have a chance of voting this guy into the Hall of Fame first ballot, me personally, I may be like, oh, Bill Belichick, I remember what you did to me. Nope, I'm good. And I'll move on to the next name. I'm thinking that way. I'm not saying that you would, and I'm not saying that other people would, but obviously something had to happen here that he didn't get in. And now Kraft not getting in first ballot as well. The antenna raises there. I'd be like, yeah, I think it's the way you maybe have treated people along the way in your life. Especially in your positions that you were in head coach and owner of a franchise that didn't stop winning, because it's not about that, but it's also about the way they win. They did have 2 cheating scandals against them. I know other teams have definitely done that before, but they're the ones that got caught doing it. So you did do it. But yeah, I think it's more of that stuff. Obviously, it's not what they did. They're more than qualified. It's just that the fact that maybe Belichick didn't treat people too well. People remember that, because sure as hell I'm going to remember if someone didn't treat me well and I get a chance, to get them back in the end, which may not be the nicest thing to say, but if you're going to treat someone a certain way, you're going to have to remember that people may not like that in the end. But what do you think about this whole situation? And can Tom Brady be the complete the trio there of not getting in first ballot as well? For me, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the fact he won with the Bucs when he left, and now that owns his team, announces games every week, I feel like he's definitely going to be first ballot, regardless of everything that's happened in New England, because he's done other stuff after the fact.
Yeah, I feel torn. I mean, if Belichick gets completely, ostracized and left out of the Hall of Fame, I think I'm going to be in an uproar, and I think a lot of us will, because we can't deny his greatness, even, pre-Brady. I mean, he's an incredible football coach, incredible football personality. He's got a lot of, football IQ. He just one of the best coaches that, you can have in your organization. But I can kind of, bend the knee a little bit and see like how he's being snubbed first ballot. It's, Spygate and the cheating scandal, the Deflategate. I mean, I've almost forgot about that. It's the laundry list. Yeah, it really is. But who between those two, who I think, should be in there, no doubt, is Belichick. I feel like if you had to completely snub Kraft from, the entire Hall of Fame for a couple of years, like, okay, I get it. Because I feel like he was more behind the scenes, kind of the puppet with the strings more than Belichick, because, I'm not saying Belichick had no idea what was going on, because he absolutely did.
He definitely did.
But,
yeah.
I feel like Kraft as the owner, I feel like he has a little bit more saying those issues than Belichick would. It's definitely not a dynamic like the Dallas Cowboys, like Jerry Jones is, owner, head coach, PR guy,
Yeah,
everything, you know. Um, but no, I could see. I know a lot of the ESPN analysts are in an uproar that Belichick isn't first ballot. Um, Me personally, I mean, it would be nice to see him first ballot, but just thinking of the perspective of like the voters and their voting system, like if that's the reason why, because of kind of a tarnished, 8 to 10 years or 12 years, like, okay, like I could see that, I can understand that. But yeah, if Belichick is completely not put into the Hall of Fame, then there might be an angry tweet coming out from me and a lot of people. But yeah, no, but I totally get where you're coming from. Your Patriots bias aside, I get, I get where you're coming from with that. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's just a lot to break. It's not, a set in stone thing. That's what we're trying to get at here. It's like everyone's gonna have their opinion on it. We weren't, we don't have a personal relationship with Bill Belichick, so we don't know, all those type of things. But yeah, I think it's a little different for Kraft just because the owner side of it, that's a little different, obviously. But for him, it's just like with Kraft, I feel the fact that he got New England, I'm not going to say I'm going to agree with it, but he got New England to, when he took over that franchise, they were just as bad as like the Jets are now, like the Browns have been for years. Like they were that, it was rough there. And he took over and he, helped produce a winner by, hiring the right people, and they turned it all around. So that's the thing with that. But I think we agree though with the Brady thing as well. I just think that he's a little bit, he's kind of not connected. I'm not going to say he's not connected with it, but he obviously is. But it's a little different for him because of what he did after, with the Patriots. Won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. Part owns the Raiders. Announces games of coaches he wants to hire, which I don't agree with, but he's done other things, so he's going to be fine. And he was a player as well, and I'm sure the NFL is not going to let that happen. Like they're going to be like, no, you can't not have him, the greatest player of all time, not in a first ballot, Hall of Fame thing. That I think the Hall of Fame is just a mess anyway, but we'll see what happens with that. Browns hire Todd Monken as their next head coach after spending time with the Ravens as their OC. So we remember the beginning of the Lamar Jackson era was not Todd Monken as the OC. They had Greg Roman there, who was interviewed for the Jets. Everything involves the Jets. I don't even know why I bring it up anymore. But he is actually interviewed for the Jets offensive coordinator job. But Todd Monken came in after Greg Roman, kind of unlocked Lamar Jackson to another level. I feel like there was is something that was there with Lamar that someone needed to actually get out of him, and they catered the offense just to his strengths, which obviously you should do that if you have a pretty good quarterback. You got to cater to him and what he does best. Because if you're forcing a quarterback that doesn't do things that good to do them over and over again, it's not really going to work. It's not like it's not a robot quarterback. You do this, you do this, you do this. No, you have to be able to look at your guy and be like, yeah, okay, not the best pocket passer, but is a hell of an athlete when he gets moving. And that's what Todd Monken figured out, that Lamar Jackson is that type of player, and he was their OC for a while. Now he's the Browns head coach, and he had a few things to say today. So usually when head coaches have their their first or second interview, whatever their press conference, they're usually, this is a great organization. They're giving me a chance. We have a great team. We have this. We have that. He was honest. I'm going to be like, that's the way I took it. Didn't commit to defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, who has been a pretty good DC for the Browns and, previous stops in his career. And the reason why he didn't commit to him is because he does have a year left on his contract, but also Jim Schwartz was in the running for head coach. So I highly doubt he's going to want to stick it out when he didn't get the job that he was going for, and that they wanted, they had some interest in him if they're interviewing him. So that's a little weird, that dynamic. And then he didn't commit to Shedeur Sanders either. So, which I think is the right move there. Because, I'm me personally, I love Shedeur. I think he can be a really good player if he's coached correctly. And I think Todd Monken is the type of guy that can coach him up. But I wouldn't commit to it just because you don't know what you have in your quarterback room. You have like 500 quarterbacks there in Cleveland. You don't know who's what, but you do. Deshaun Watson is still there. I actually think that my prediction is going to be that he actually starts game one for Cleveland next year just because they can't get rid of him. What are you going to have this guy sit there on the bench? Like, that's just like,
not with that contract.
Right? That's what I'm saying. They have to at least stick it out for this year and deal with it. But what do you make of Todd Monken going to Cleveland? I like it, but I don't think that, the Cleveland couldn't get the, the high of the high there. They can only do so much, but I feel like they did okay with what they had to work with.
No, I agree. I mean, like you said about his time in Baltimore, I think, look at what that offense did with Lamar and, how shifty Lamar is. And even when he airs it out, he's a very versatile quarterback. And even the Ravens offense, too, not just with Lamar. I mean, with Derrick Henry, and you got great receivers like Flowers, who, gets open, who's quick. It's like he had a lot of great weapons, a lot of good players, I should say, around him. And he developed, brought them to another level. And to bring that to the Browns, who they've been a failing organization for most of, the decade, if not longer. They had a couple good runs with Stefanski and, some one and dones in the postseason. But I think he's a good move because the Browns, they were one of the worst offenses this year. Like it was bad. Like Shador wasn't that great. Dylan Gabriel was not great. Like you said, they had like a million quarterbacks that just were not good. Good thing though, on the other side of the ball is, if your offense can get going, I mean, you have a top 5 defense in front of you. So if that offense can get going, then, do I think they're going to win the division? No, I think the Ravens are still going to be okay. The Steelers, as a Steelers fan, it's going to be, I'm kind of tossing and turning in my sleep about Mike McCarthy. I don't know how that's going to go, if Rodgers is going to come back, but, that's a topic for another day. But I think the Browns, in the situation, like you said, with what was available, I think they made out fairly good.
Yeah, you think about it, like who they really going to realistically get. They weren't getting any of the top guys. Like, no one wants to have to deal with that to try to fix. Like people want to have more things like that are ready to go. Coaches that can just kind of step in there and just take over for a team that kind of has something. In Cleveland, they need like a whole, makeover. Of it. But yeah, the Steelers thing, you don't have to talk about it another day. We'll get to it when your debut of how you're doing later on. So it's not that, we'll get there. We'll get there in a little bit. Then the Cardinals, they hire Mike LaFleur, not Matt LaFleur. That's his brother, Mike LaFleur, as their next head coach. Any notable experience he has? He was the Rams OC with McVay. Obviously, when you coach with McVay, you usually get a job after. It's usually the way it goes. But before that, he was the Jets offensive coordinator. And then got let go by the Jets, I think, prematurely. I think he had potential, and obviously he has potential. He's the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not sure how he's going to do. They have a lot of question marks as well. They don't have a quarterback, or I don't think they're going to keep Kyler Murray. They have a top pick in the draft, but you can't really get a quarterback because there's no quarterbacks in the draft. But that'll be a conversation for another day. There's a lot that can be done there in Arizona because they have weapons. They have Marvin Harrison. They have Trey McBride. They have an offense there. They have pieces. I could say that, but just they're really probably one of the toughest divisions in the league. They have some things to work on, but I think there's some upside here.
I agree. I think they had a mid-tier offense this year. I mean, Jacoby Brissett did what he could. That whole Kyler Murray situation is just a disaster. Kind of glad, though, that they got rid of Jonathan Gannon. I wasn't a big fan of him. I didn't think he really, was the spark plug they needed. Like, he's not a Ben Johnson where he's in the locker room and the guys are just going to rally around him and they're getting fired up. It was just like, another day in the office, it seemed like. But I do like Mike LaFleur. He was a guy I was hoping the Steelers would try and get because he was on the table before, they took McCarthy, which, we'll get into that. But yeah, I'm going to be curious to see how he could, make their offense excel and, we'll some of these guys up that maybe weren't at their fullest potential with Gannon.
Yeah, he was just something. That guy was just not. He was not it. Let's put it that way. He was not it for Arizona. But yeah, LaFleur, he can be something, man. I don't think he's gonna be. I don't think he's gonna be bad for them. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then the Raiders. So not official yet because the Super Bowl has to happen. But Clint Kubiak has been, pretty much hired as the coach of the Raiders, which I like a lot, man. What he's done with Sam Darnold this year, really getting him to be confident more than ever. Because yeah, Darnold was, like we said, great in Minnesota last year, but a different level this year. And Kubiak was definitely a part of that. I mean, his dad was a Super Bowl coach, so obviously he's learned from some really good minds there. And the fact that he has a chance of working with Fernando, I think that Fernando, I'm curious to see this, but I think the Mendoza Kubiak, head coach quarterback type of thing, I think that's going to be I think it's gonna be fun. Like a little bit of a, they're two kind of weird guys, but they get coming together. I think it may work. And they have Brock Bowers there, Ashton Genty, whatever you think of him. I don't think he's was worth what he was drafted, but maybe he could be unlocked with Kubiak as the coach. But yeah, it's going to be an intriguing offense there, and I think that can work. I think the Mendoza Kubiak thing, because they both love football. You could tell, like that's what they want to do. Like they want to be there, they want to show up, they want to work. I like it. I do.
I like it too. I mean, number one, the biggest priority for the Raiders is to get that offense in check, because that offense was god awful. Like it was terrible. Like watching, Kenny Pickett throw and have that offense get like 76 total yards in a single game against like Philly. Like that was hard to watch. But I'm excited to see Mendoza. It's kind of, budding personalities. You got someone like Mendoza in an environment like Las Vegas of all places. I think that's going to be kind of an interesting, environment for him. And like you said, with Kubiak and Mendoza, I'm really intrigued to see what would happen. I think if Pete Carroll was still there and they got Mendoza, I just think those two would be butting heads, like, old timer and, a new generation coming in. I just think it would be oil and water. It just would not work.
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't have worked. I mean, Pete Carroll's like 70 something, and Mendoza's obviously fresh out of college. I don't think that would work. And that's probably part of it, of why they decided to move on. Then we got two more here before we move on to baseball. We got the Giants bringing in Matt Nagy as their OC for a young offense that needs some, they have pieces. They just need someone to get them going in the right direction with Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo. They got Tracy as another running back. They have Malik Neighbors, obviously, probably going to draft or sign a high-end wide receiver too, who could be a wide receiver one, like that level of good. They got some other guys there as well. But I don't know. I mean, the Giants I think, were banking on Todd Monken being their OC, and they waited and waited and waited, and then he decided to be the Browns head coach. That kind of hurt them a little bit. But I don't think Matt Nagy would have been my hire, honestly. I don't like him.
Yeah, like I don't mind it, but I don't hate it. I mean, I don't know. I see people on Twitter absolutely hating this.
Yeah,
and
I would say that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hate this because, even when he was head coach in Chicago, I mean, he had Mitch Trubisky, and look at what they did. I mean, he has probably, well, not probably, but the greatest quarterback of our generation right now, Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And, even that, his time there as OC, the offense looked great. I mean, having a guy like Mahomes also, helps your resume too. But it'll be interesting to see with Harbaugh and, that younger talent with Jackson Dart, if Scatterboo can get healthy and not, run through CTE or like get hurt, like, we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see what happens. But if you're a Giants fan, I totally understand why you're a little skeptical. It's just like the Steelers, where it's been the same, hamster wheel over and over and over. So, they're not used to anything good or exciting happening. Maybe like young talent coming in is great, but like actual winning seasons and playoff appearances, like that hasn't happened in a long time. So I could see why they're a little skeptical right now.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Don't hate it, don't love it. It didn't move me. Like I was like, I'm not a Giants fan, obviously, but I was like, all right, whatever. Like you get him. He's okay. He's not going to do anything great. He's not going to really hurt you, but I think he can develop Dart, at least maybe not to the highest potential, but at least do something for him. And he's done it before. He's called plays, so obviously he has a ton of experience doing that, which is big for them. And then Jim Leonard becomes DC of the Buffalo Bills. So he was a hot candidate, interviewed for a lot of defensive coordinator jobs. He was a player, obviously. He was actually defensive coordinator for Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Badgers, before coming back to the NFL to be an assistant coach with the Broncos when Sean Payton took over in Denver. And now he gets his chance as defensive coordinator. Vance Joseph was in Denver, so that was never going to be a thing for Jim Leonard. But now with the Buffalo Bills, and I guess it's going to be a different philosophy, because from watching the Bills a ton over the years now, when McDermott was there, they were more of a passive type of defense, didn't really want to be aggressive. Watching the Broncos play, which I'm sure that's going to be Leonard's type of defense, they go like they force pressure, they force turnovers, they do all that. So I think the Bills are going to have to try to mold, I think, maybe the two philosophies together, just because the players that are there, I don't think they're going to get rid of them because they're good players, but they're playing in a different scheme. It's gonna be fascinating to see what happens with the Bills there. But overall for them, that's a really good hire, Jim Leonard. And I think for the Bills as a whole, it seems like they have a young head coach, young DC now. I think that's what they want. That's what they're looking for. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, on that younger side, they want to bring that high energy. I mean, Denver, they had a top 3 defense this year. The Bills defense was fine this year, but I felt like they were still like a step or two from being like elite, like taking that next step. Like, they got Bosa, they got Milano, like all that is great, but I feel like they're just missing, whether it's, Leonard, like a defensive coordinator or another couple pieces. I feel like if those get into place and everything falls into place, I feel like Buffalo's defense could be really good.
Yeah, they have things there. They just need it to be, come together too. That's the thing. Like, they haven't been able to win and get far into the postseason. But about an hour of football talk, which is usually what we do. We usually dive really deep into NFL stuff. But let's do baseball here. Then we'll get to NBA because the NBA is popping off right now, of course. But we got the Hall of Fame announcements. So we knew Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, and Jeff Kent were going to be in the Hall of Fame. We didn't know what teams they were going to be going in for. And, for Beltran, it was kind of tough. If you want to say it's tough, obviously it wasn't because he kind of said right out what he thought. But he's in with the Mets. He's going to go in with the Mets hat, which makes me happy. I kind of feel like that's righting a few wrongs that happened when he was supposed to be our manager. And that went to waste because the Astros cheating scandal they said he was a part of, which makes no sense, that the fact that they let all the players get away with it. But the coach, he was a coach, so he couldn't coach. But if he played still, he would have been okay. I don't really get that whole thing, but happy to see Beltran not holding any resentment to the Mets for any of that. So he's going to go in as a Hall of Famer for the New York Mets. Andrew Jones, who played for a few teams, but most notably the Atlanta Braves. And then Jeff Kent with the Giants. So he's a little bit older than these two guys, but he's going to be in there with the San Francisco Giants. But overall, Corey, I know these guys played a little bit ago compared to now, obviously. But anything on these three, like anything that you like, anything that you're like, damn, why did he pick this team, or whatever the case may be with the Hall of Fame here?
I mean, not really. I mean, I think all 3 of these guys deserve to get into the Hall of Fame, so it's nice to see them get in. Obviously, they all played great for each of these teams. So, I mean, I have no complaints, really.
Yeah, I was going to say baseball does it right. They usually put the guys in the Hall of Fame that deserve it. They don't really they may have a grudge with Pete Rose with gambling. When now you look at what gambling is in sports, it's kind of like a thing that shouldn't really be going that way now. But I agree. I think that baseball does it. They do it the right way. They usually put the guys in that belong, and the guys that don't, they don't. That's just the way it goes. Like, they don't really hold anyone out just because of what they have personal conflicts with guys and stuff like that. And then some other news we have from baseball: a couple of signings and a trade. We have Luis Arias signing with the Giants as they continue a really nice offseason. I think the Giants have flown under the radar, bringing in a coach from college. We've never seen that before. Tony Vitello from Tennessee going to the San Francisco Giants. That's going to be something. I've never seen a college head baseball coach go to become a manager in the MLB. That's going to be a weird transition because you're going from trying to recruit guys and giving NIL and going in the transfer portal to managing professional athletes. That's going to be something. But the Giants have done a really good. They've had a really good offseason. Harrison Bader they acquired last week. They've had a few other moves before that. And Arias is just a pure hitter. Like, you just look at him. Not going to do anything flashy. Just gets up there, hits over 300, singles to left field. Maybe he'll hit an occasional homer, a couple of doubles here and there, but nothing special. But he's the type of guy on a winning team. We've seen it. You're a Blue Jays. Blue Jays had winning baseball players on that team this year. That's why they made it to the World Series. And Arias is one of them. Like, he's that type of player. He's a winning baseball player.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, nice pickup for the Giants. And going back to what you said, just a consistent contact hitter. And I feel like he'll elevate the Giants lineup, especially when you're facing the Dodgers a whole bunch.
The good old Dodgers, right?
Especially for their new manager. I mean, think about that too. I mean, you're coaching these guys in college at Tennessee, and the next thing you know, you're moving to San Francisco and you're facing Shohei Ohtani and, no salary cap like LA Dodgers. Like,
Yeah,
it's a crazy transition.
Definitely is from Tennessee. Yeah, SEC play and Division I baseball is pretty damn good, but nothing like the LA Dodgers. You have to play them about 20 times a year. That's going to be fun. Then Eugenio Suarez, he back to the Cincinnati Reds. So he was with the Reds for after his first season, because he was traded from the Tigers to the Reds, but then 7 years with the Reds after that. And he's a pure opposite of what Arias is. Arias is that contact guy, like you said. Suarez is homer or nothing, really. Homer or bust, I was going to say. That's pretty much what he is. And the Reds bring him back. Reds they've been quietly getting better as well. I think them and the Giants are kind of on the same level right now. Good young pieces, bring in key veterans. Can they make the playoffs? The NL is very, very competitive. There's just so many teams. I think there's going to be like 2 or 3 that have good years that don't make it. But the Reds, were in the postseason last year, so they can build on that. That's something. And they don't have, the biggest cap space. They don't have a payroll, I should say. They don't have that. So it's kind of funny to see how they make it work. And they were good last year, and I think they can be good again. I don't see why not, I should say.
Yeah, no, he's a good pickup too. I mean, even his 7 years at Cincinnati, I mean, he was batting in the upper 200s. He was really, a force to be reckoned with. I mean, even in the postseason against the Blue Jays, while he was kind of quiet, did have that home run. I believe it was Game 5. I think I know it was in Seattle, which deflated my soul in that game. But I don't know if, he's thinking to himself, maybe for the nostalgia, he's coming back and think, maybe he can fester up some confidence and get the whole, bench and the whole team fired up in Cincinnati. Because I do agree, like you've noticed kind of a change in Cincinnati where they're not, because they've struggled some years, like they have been awful, but no, it's going to be interesting to see. And who knows, he could even evolve out of just a power hitter and become a contact guy, start to become kind of like a versatile, hitter for their lineup.
Yeah, and it's a 1-year deal. So, say the Reds fall on their face and they're not in the playoff race at the deadline, he can be traded. So that's, I think, what he was looking for. He was looking for an opportunity to play for a decent team, but if it doesn't work out, I can be moved somewhere else, which exactly what happened with him last year. Arizona they were supposed to be good. They weren't. They traded him to Seattle. He had a great finish with Seattle into the postseason. He had some clutch hits along the way. And then the last move was a trade. Brendan Donovan has been traded from the Cardinals to the Mariners. So the Mariners looking to, they lost Suarez, looking for another bat. You bring in Brendan Donovan, who's not a bad player, not a great player, but he's, he does the job, very good defensively, going to hit a little bit for you. I don't really have much on him in terms of like what I think he's going to provide exactly for the Mariners, because it depends where he's going to play. I don't really know exactly where he's going to play either, because they have a little bit of a log jam over there in the infield. But Donovan, really good player as well. But anything you have on him or baseball as a whole before we move on to the NBA?
No, not too much. I think you said everything that had to be said, especially about Brendan Donovan. I think, the Mariners with the lineup they had last season, I think with Donovan, it's going to be interesting to see where they kind of put him in the lineup.
Yeah, it's gonna be something for Seattle, but just because they have a good team and they have a lot of guys that should play, but who's not going to play is going to be, the question, or to look out for. Let's go to the NBA, where we have the trade deadline. So it's trade deadline season, and Corey's sitting up in his seat because he knows we're going to get deep into this. It is going off already. We have a bunch of trades that's happened so far. Any other trades that come through, we're just going to break news, obviously, like we did before with James Harden. I was like I think that might have been my first breaking news of the show, honestly. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever done a breaking news before, but that was fun. But we still got 2 more days. And the elephant in the room, you see this guy traded, that guy traded, whatever. The big guy, Giannis Antetokounmpo, will he be traded? I've been keep saying I think he will be. And now as the days come by, it's like, oh, I don't know if he is. Like, I don't know what to believe anymore. But if it's not now, I don't know when they're going to do it. Because in the summer, I feel like it's more of a Giannis dictated trade where he's like, oh, it's the summer. I look at all these teams. They made these moves after the draft. Where do I want to go now? And he's going to force it. I think if you're the Bucks, why not do it now when you're like, oh, we're just looking for the best package back, and that's it. We're just going to go with that, which he has no say anyway. But I feel like in the NBA where star players force their way to a certain place, why if you're the Bucks, why would you even want to do that? This guy doesn't want to be here anymore, and we have a chance at everyone literally coming for him right now. In the summer, it may not be like that. He may only have a few teams that are interested in him because teams have they're already set. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want to break it up. Now, it's some teams think they can make a run to the finals. Some teams are looking towards the future. There's a lot of different things to keep into account. But do you think Giannis is going to get traded? And if you know where, you can reveal that as well.
I think he's going to be traded. I don't think the Bucks are going to wait because why would they, cater to him? Yeah, why would they cater to him? With, I'm not saying he's mistreating the Bucks, but just the way it's been kind of handled, just my calf is hurting. He's mentally checked out like we've talked about before. I just don't see the Bucks catering to him. I think they want to, like you said, find the best package, what's going to be a win-win for both sides, and just take care of business, because I think the Bucks fans at this point are checked out. They want something to happen so they don't have to, keep teasing them with it. I think both the fans and the organization want to work something out so, the suffering could end already.
Yeah, it's just like annoying. Like when you have to just like deal with that back and forth, it's just very, very annoying. Just a lot. And I'm selfishly rooting for obviously the Knicks to go out and get him because, yeah, I love what the Knicks team's doing right now. They're playing good basketball, but I think we all know as Knicks fans, I think we can all agree on this, that the fact that this team could make the finals, NBA finals, but win it, we don't think so. Like we think, why waste a year? Why wait and see what this team can do when if you bring in Giannis, you have a very much, I'm not saying much better chance, but you have a better chance, to win with a guy like that on your team than the team they have constructed. Other NBA news we got, so we're gonna go down the line for the trades, and then we'll get into the standings update, which I didn't actually add on the notes, but we were gonna do that. Nikola Vucevic has been traded from the Bulls to the Celtics. So Celtics surprising everyone this year by what they're doing. They're 31-18, 32-18, something like that. We'll find out in a few minutes. But they were traded. They were a team that Tatum goes down. You come to this year and be like, yeah, we get rid of Porzingis, we get rid of Drew Holiday, Tatum's out. A few other guys they got rid of, and like, yeah, I think we're just going to be, we'll probably be like a 7-8 seed. We'll get through the year. We'll get Tatum back next year. Now the Celtics, you look fast forward a few months into the season, and they're one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And they're like, man, all right, good. This is what good organizations do. They value what their team is doing. They're like, okay, we're gonna reward these guys. They're playing good basketball. Looks like we're lacking at the center position. Let's bring in a veteran like Vucevic, who's better than what we have. I'm not going to say Keita and Luka Garza aren't playing well, but Vucevic is a different level of a type of center. He's a veteran. He's been there. He's done it. And I was shocked though that they traded Anthony Simons just because of what he's done for them. He's averaging 15 points per game off the bench is no joke. Like that's pretty good in limited minutes. So I don't know how they're going to be able to overcome that. But that's why I was thinking about this. I'm like, all right, they get Vucevic. That's a good move for them, but they traded Simons. I don't know about that. But I think that the Celtics have another move in the system. It's working because you're not going to get rid of a guy that averages 15 a game and not replace it. Like, yeah, you got a starting center now, but the starting center that was there, Keita, is not going to average that many points off the bench. So I think that there's a lot to talk about there, but I think that's what they're going to do. I think they have another move, and I think they weren't expecting to be this good. That's the point I was trying to make with Tatum being out.
No, I agree. I mean, when you lose a guy like Tatum, it's like, so what do we do now?
The wind is out of the sails.
Absolutely. But getting a guy like Vucevic, I mean, you just upgrade the size, and he's got a lot of experience up front. And I think he's a good piece, but I'm smelling something brewing in Boston too. I think TD Garden and the fans, I think they might have, some information that we don't know. I think they might have something up their sleeve.
Yeah, something is going on there, because you're not going to get rid of a guy that's a spark plug, six-man type off the bench and not replace the scoring, because you're going to need bench scoring, in the postseason. Then Jaren Jackson Jr. traded to the Utah Jazz. We all expected him to be traded. But I don't think anyone expected the Jazz. But it seems like the Jazz not having a good year, which they haven't had one in a little bit since getting rid of Donovan Mitchell. But I think they're trying to build something. They have some young players there: Keontae George, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen is a pretty good player. So they're building something in Utah. So that's why they figured, why not bring in Jaren Jackson? It seems like the Grizzlies are just blowing it up. I think John Morant's the next one out the door within the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's a shame because, Memphis at one point, playoff contenders, just unbelievable squad. And obviously it just seems like, someone left a grenade at the building and it's just, crumbling, like it exploded. And it's just, I think Memphis is just trying to reset. And for the Jazz, you're getting a very good rim protector and definitely someone that you can build around. And are the Jazz going to be, absolutely better overnight? No, definitely not. But he's definitely a piece that, like I said, that you could build around and definitely bring some morale to this team.
For sure. There's a lot going there for Jaren Jackson. He's really, really good player. Then we have the Pistons acquiring Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric to bolster their already number 1 seed squad. So they got a good team. They're just looking to get more depth because they know when they get to the playoffs, you may have to run into a Celtics, a Knicks, a Cavs, teams like that are pretty good. Raptors have actually been surprising. So those are teams that they may run into at some point if they plan on making a deep playoff run, and they want to make sure they have the depth to do that. Kevin Huerter, really good shooter. Saric is more of a defensive-minded guy, which kind of fits their mold already. So two good players for them. And then in that same trade, the Bulls picked up Jaden Ivey, a young player that really wasn't getting much time from Detroit. So kind of a fresh start for him, see what he can do. And then Mike Conley, a veteran from the Timberwolves who goes to the Bulls. I don't know what the hell the Bulls are doing. They confuse me every single year. I really don't know what the hell they're doing. They go from having DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine to trading them to getting really nothing. And then the Bulls are just a mess. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they're trying to be either. Like, are you trying to win? Are you trying to not win? Like, I don't get it. They're like Mike Conley. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from him, but he's old. He's like 38. 38 in the NBA. He's old. He's there. I don't know what they're doing. And then the key to this whole trade is the Timberwolves trade Mike Conley, like I just said, but they don't get anything in return in terms of players. So that cap space is free now. And you keep hearing rumors, a sneaky team for Giannis Antetokounmpo, Minnesota Timberwolves. Then they make a trade like this, Corey, and it's like, oh, okay, we got to keep our eye on that because I think that it could be real. Because why else would you get rid of Mike Conley when you're in the middle of a playoff race? Who's a good point guard for them, veteran point guard. If you're not going to even entertain the chance of getting Giannis, like I think they're really like for real trying to get him. If you're opening up cap space as a playoff team, like you're not just a team that's bad and just selling off pieces. Like they're trying to win and they're doing this. I think you got to keep an eye on the Timberwolves.
Well, I said that during the Knicks stream. I said, hey, JD, we were talking about Giannis, and I'm like, I thought I heard the Minnesota Timberwolves were interested in Giannis. And, obviously the look on your face, you didn't want to hear that because you want him to go to New York.
No, I don't want to hear it, but it's real.
But yeah, it's real. I was going to say, I think that's absolutely what they're doing. But as far as the trade, I mean, I think this shows how serious Detroit is really looking to get to this season, getting Huerter. Sarge has that playoff experience. That's exactly what you want when you're sitting, right there at top of the standings. Chicago, they confuse me too. It just seems like every year they're looking for the play-in tournament. They either win or lose and then get first rounded. So
I don't know.
I don't know. So, so I don't know if that's their goal. Like, hey, Ivy will get to experience the play-in tournament. I mean, I don't know what they're looking for, but the Bulls are Bulls. I mean, that's what I say. They'll just do what they want and we'll see them next season. So
literally the definition of mid. That's what they are.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
They have no direction either. They're just kind of just there. Like I was saying, like, I don't know. They're very, very confusing team. And then we have James Harden. I put expected to be traded in our notes, but he has been traded.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, I broke that news before. He has been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. And if you didn't know, Biggie is a Cavaliers fan, Corey. So he was texting me. He's like, "What do you think of James Harden?" Because he doesn't really watch that much basketball anymore. He kind of relies on me for the information now. And I was like, I like it because for Cleveland, you only have Donovan Mitchell under contract for next year, and that's it. So, you haven't won much with Donovan Mitchell there. Yeah, you get in the playoffs. You don't really win in the playoffs, so that doesn't do anything for you. Darius Garland, who has been he's really good, but he's hurt a lot, and he's a guy that's you can't count on him in the playoffs if he's going to be injured. So you ship him out for an older player. Yeah, I get that, but the Cavs are in the win now mode. They need as best talent maximized as they can with Donovan Mitchell there, because if they don't win this year, I could very easily see Donovan Mitchell being set or saying, I want to leave. Or if not this year, he only has 1 year left and he's probably not going to re-sign there because I feel like he would have done that already. Then he's going to leave, and then you have nothing. And I highly doubt James Harden doesn't spend more than 2 years in a city. So after next year,
that's what I was going to get at.
Yeah, he'll be gone as well. So, and if he's disinterested, you remember Fat Jim. That's what they were calling him when he was in Brooklyn at the end of his Brooklyn days. Fat Jim, when it looked like he had a pillow under his shirt. So, I think that this is a good move. He didn't want to be with the Clippers. So, yeah, if you're the Clippers, he doesn't want to be there for you anymore. Let him leave. We'll trade you. And I think for the Clippers, they did well also. Like, Garland's a really good player. I think the Clippers actually won the trade. They got younger, and they got a really talented player. That's what I would say out of it. But for Cleveland, I don't hate it, like, for the reasons I said as well. Like, they're trying to win right now, and I think that Harden's the better piece. And also, in terms of, like, actual play on the court, having Mitchell and Garland, two really small guards, does not help when you're in the playoffs and you're facing a Mikal Bridges, an OG Anunoby, a Jaylen Brown, a perhaps Jason Tatum, a Cade Cunningham. That doesn't help you when you're facing big boys like that, and you have Darius Garland, who's this big, and Donovan Mitchell, who's this big. And I'm not saying James Harden plays defense, but he's big. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's physical. He can be provide a little more physicality than perhaps a Garland do. It can help Mitchell out as well. And they traded DeAndre Hunter last week, so they lost that perimeter help as well.
Yeah, I think both sides won. I mean, the Clippers, they're getting hot at the right time, and Kawhi Leonard's been playing great as we've come to expect. And for Cleveland, with James Harden's having a great year. I'm curious to see how long that relationship is going to last. But it's a good pairing with Donovan Mitchell, and we'll see if Cleveland can get over like a postseason hump with this new look offense.
Without a doubt, especially from last year, number 1 seed, you lose in the second round. It's like, what the hell is that? Like, we expect to be better. And this year, they didn't even start out good. They've been playing much better lately, but now they're breaking it up because they know this is not a championship team. We got to try to do something. But I don't think Harden is going to change that. So there's a lot going on in Cleveland. I wouldn't be shocked if they make another trade as well. I would keep an eye on that. So let's do our chalked moment of the week. So I'll go first just because we're still talking basketball, and then Corey will hop in and make his debut on his chalked moment as well. But Reggie Miller, can you stop? Just don't even let him do games anymore. Don't even let him do New York Knicks games anymore. And it's not only me. I know people may say, "Oh, you're a Knicks fan." I attacked him actually a few months ago, and I got actually people agreeing with me, which I don't get much of that. When I post these videos after the show. And when I'm doing the show, but people do agree with me in terms of what Reggie Miller, like, he visibly doesn't like the Knicks, visibly roots against them during games. You can see it. Like, you don't even have to see it. Just listen to his stupid voice in his ear. I don't know, Corey, I sent you a video. I mean, it sounded like he's going to have a stroke when LeBron dunked. Oh, my God, LeBron dunked. He's done that his entire career.
You said he sounded like Collinsworth.
Yeah, Collinsworth. He did sound like Chris Collinsworth. Don't even get me started on him.
Those two, yeah.
Yeah, those two guys. They probably have parties together. They definitely. It sounded exactly the same. Oh, like that. I was like, all right, relax. He dunked the ball. Relax. And then I see the video because we were on the stream. I see the video after, and it's just like he's like falling over the table, like the booth. He's falling on the court, almost knocking Mike Tirico into the stands because he's so excited because LeBron James dunked a basketball, which he's done since he was probably 5 years old. I don't know why that's such a big deal, but it's not only that. It's just like the culmination of things with him. And I remember going back because now there's NBC is the main thing for basketball now, and during the playoff run. The Knicks playing the Pacers. He's doing the games on TNT. And I'm like, I don't want to hear this guy anymore. I can't stand him. Hopefully when NBC comes around, he doesn't do him. NBC, we signed Reggie Miller to be one of our color analysts. I'm like, here we go. He's going to make sure he does every Knicks game and root against them every single time. And that's exactly what he's done. And I cannot stand him. I hope this video gets to him somehow when I post it. I cannot stand him. I don't know if you know Sal Licata. He's a New York, like he's a media guy in New York. And he has like his own podcast now. And I commented on it. I was like, no one likes Reggie because he was agreeing. He's basically saying what I'm trying to get at. and I posted it. I commented, and he liked it. I mean, I was like, damn, all right. The people, I'm not the only one going crazy over this guy. Like, and no one likes him here. Like, it just like the way his like face bothers me. I know I'm getting a little personal, but his face bothers me. But the fact that why? What, you cannot visibly root against. I'm like, I wrote on the Sal Licata's comments. I'm like, for me, being someone that wants to be a broadcaster, I literally do the opposite of what the hell he does, because it's not right. It's not right what he does. It's just not professional at all. I mean, last year he was on the court with the Pacers. That's what set me off. I remember now when he was with the Pacers on the court celebrating that they made the finals. You just called the game 5 minutes ago, and you're running on the court to celebrate, hold up the trophy like you did something. Like, come on, man. So it's just adding up, and I'm probably gonna have another crash out about Reggie Miller. But Sunday night, that annoyed me. That annoyed the hell out of me watching him do that. And then the Knicks winning just made me happy because I know that hurt him. Like, I got him annoyed. And they make Reggie Miller made the famous shot against the Knicks when he was with the Pacers back in the day. Oh, Reggie Miller, he owned MSG. Like, can we stop? It's the same story every single time. We know what he did. We know who he played for. We know who he worked for. We know he has a bald head. We know the whole situation. We know he hates the Knicks. Can we stop? Can we please stop with the nonsense already? And Corey's as well. Corey's is coming up. I don't know how that guy even has a pass to get into whatever the hell he was doing with Drake May. But Corey, what debut, your chalked moment? What has bothered you within this last week or so in the sports world?
I could say the Super Bowl media day, but just in general, just NFL
media
journalists,
week.
NFL media week, whatever. Yeah. This journalist, media guy, whoever the hell he is from San Jose, didn't hear his name, didn't hear anything about him other than Drake May say, "Oh, you're from San Jose." The man asked him, "Are you and your team planning on winning on Sunday?" John, are they planning? Do you think the Patriots are planning on winning on Super Bowl Sunday, or what do you think they're planning on doing?
I actually heard that they just want to participate in the game, and if they lose, they're getting the Uber Bowl trophy. So it's like the trophy underneath that. So not the Vince Lombardi trophy; it's the Uber Bowl trophy. So they get like a little bit. They get like a smaller trophy if they lose, and that's what they're going for. Because they said we have too many Super Bowls. We won enough. Let's someone else win this time. And we're not going to try to win this time. And then I don't get it. And that might have been the same guy that asked Mike Vrabel if it was a must-win game. I don't know if you heard that.
I think it was. I think it was.
That guy needs to get he needs a new different job, a different occupation.
He needs to. Yeah, I don't know what he needs to do, but it doesn't involve asking questions or interviewing people.
No, they
what do you expect them to like? What I don't know. I'm at a loss for words because what do you expect them to do on Super Bowl Sunday? Stare at each other, watch the coin toss, and then play rock paper scissors? When I heard that, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, and I thought, some of the NFL officiating, Roger Goodell, I thought all that stuff was bad. This is outside of the league. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, that annoyed me.
And I completely agree, because how the hell does this guy get a media pass to get into this? Oh, Corey, imagine doing this. Now I'm actually getting annoyed. Now I'm really thinking about it more and more. I'm steaming. All right, so pretend you're offering me a media pass. Like, all right, we're gonna get you
here's your media pass. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We're gonna get you out to the Super Bowl. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna be sitting at my desk for however long I know I have in advance that I'm going to the Super Bowl media day. Week, whatever you want to call it, the session where they all just talk to each other and they don't even know what the hell they're saying. All right, so I'm thinking about this. So I'm going to talk to Drake May, second-year quarterback, makes the Super Bowl from UNC. Was not good last year. Like, he wasn't great. He was okay. Got hurt a few times. Makes the Super Bowl in his second year. Wow.
Unbelievable.
MVP candidate. Oh, okay.
Hey, I'll add more. Up there with Matt Stafford for MVP.
Yeah, exactly.
In his second year.
Super Bowl before. In his second year, up there with a guy who's won a Super Bowl before. Also has two brothers that played like somewhat of a collegiate professional career. So it's in the genes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna go. You want to win on Sunday, Drake? You want to win? Yeah. Let's go, Drake. Let's go. Do you want to win? Are you kidding me? Oh, These people,
I
man,
know.
they set me off. I was thinking about that. So that's the question that he thought of. Do you want to win, Drake? Do you want to win, Drake? Corey, I have a question for you. Do you want to win in life? Do you want to win in life?
I do.
Okay, so
100%. Yeah.
Good. All right. Let's move.
But you know what's sad is, and I'll leave with this. You know what's sad is, like, when we were doing sideline reporting back, like, you're still in college, but like when we were early in college, like, we asked better questions. Even when we're doing interviews, like, I could have been there. I could have interviewed Drake May.
Yeah,
like,
you would have come up with something 10 times, 100 times, a million times better than what that guy came up with. Are you serious? Do you want to win? Do you guys, your team want to win? I cannot. I still can't. I can't believe it. I don't know. I don't really understand that. We actually skipped the NBA standings, so let's go back to that.
Yes, yeah, because we were getting fired up.
Yeah. I can't wait to put that one out there. People are gonna laugh at us for what we're talking about, but it's true. That's gonna annoy you when you see something like that. But let's go to the Eastern Conference. I'll do the East because Corey's a Phoenix Suns fan, so I don't have to do the West for once in these weeks that go by. But let's start with the East here. I got my phone pulled up because my iPad's not cooperating with me right now. But number 1 seed Detroit Pistons at 36-12. So they've been the number 1 seed pretty much all year. Nothing different. They just keep doing it every week. 8-2 in their last 10. So that just proves my point that they just keep playing great basketball. Then we got the Knicks at 31-18. Knicks are actually up right now as well, so they should improve to 32-18. They're up 100-71 at the end of the third. So they're playing well tonight. That's good for them. Then we got the Boston Celtics as your third seed, 31-18. So they're tied with the Knicks. They're playing as well right now. They are they playing? I think they are. I thought I saw them. They're not playing tonight. I'm sorry. Oh, no, they are. I'm sorry. It's right in my face. They're winning 50-38 over the Mavericks, so that will probably stay the same. Then we got the Raptors at 31-21. They're a very pleasant surprise, I think. I think, yeah, we knew they had good players. We understood that, but they didn't really put it together at any points. But they're doing it this year, man. They're playing really well, and the Toronto Raptors are your number 4 seed. Then we got the Cleveland Cavaliers, who we talked about them at length before. They're your number 5 seed at 30-21, 8-2 in their last 10. So they're starting to heat it up a little bit. They're going to go for that top 3 seed. I have a feeling they're going to kind of take off now. May not win it, but I think Harden maybe getting in there, boost them up a little bit. Then the 76ers at 28-21. They did lose Paul George, which I actually didn't mention that. To the PED suspension. Me and CT talked about that. That's probably why I thought we did it already. But Paul George suspended for 25 games. So he's going to be out. But 76ers, I don't think they need him. I think he's just a good piece to have there with Embiid, Edgecombe, and, of course, Tyrese Maxey is incredible. And then we got the Heat as your 7 seed, 27-24. They're just always a play-in team. They're just there. Miami is always in striking distance, but never really does it, in the postseason. They'll give whoever that – if I'm the Knicks, I do not want to play the Heat just because that's going to be a physical series that you don't want any part of, but we'll see. And we got the Magic at 25-23 as the 8 seed. Bulls are in the play-in, like Corey said. They're sponsored by the play-in. They're number 9 seed at 24-26 after making some confusing trades today. Then we got the Hawks at 24-27, so they're right there. Hawks trade Trae Young and actually been playing better. So maybe Trae Young was a locker room problem there, which it's possible. I'm not speculating. It's possible for that to be the case. Then we got the Charlotte Hornets, 23-28. They've been really good as well. I think they're on a 7-game winning streak. Let me check.
Yeah. 7. Yeah, I have it up. Yeah, 7 games. 7?
Yeah, 7 games. So they were 16-28 before the winning streak, and now look, they're 1 game from the play-in. So they're right there. That's a team as well. They have players there. If you get into the postseason, they can score. They can score at the best of them. They don't really play much defense, but they can score points. So that can give a team some trouble. Then we got the Bucks, 18-29. They're going to get only worse, especially if they trade Giannis. And if they don't, I think if Giannis doesn't get traded, I actually think that he's not going to play the rest of the year. So they're going to have a rough time. And then we got the Nets right where they belong, 13-35. Corey, I actually never told you this, but I went to a Knicks versus Nets game in November. It was in Brooklyn, mind you. I don't think there was more than like 10% Brooklyn fans there. I don't even know I don't know where the fan base went. They all pretended to be Net fans when they had Harden, KD, and
that's what I was going to say. Kyrie, yeah,
they pretended then. but now they got nothing. They have no fans there, at all. Then we got the Wizards at 13-35, who they got Trae Young, but I don't think Trae Young's going to play for them. And I don't know if I was talking to you about this or someone else. It was something happening along the way the past couple of weeks. The Wizards have the Knicks. The Knicks have the Wizards pick unless it's top 8. Top 8, the Wizards keep it. Wizards, I am hoping that the Wizards lose. Win a few more games so they get like the 9th pick and they don't get it. So that helps the Knicks. But yeah, it looks like they're trying to lose games so they can preserve the pick. And then the Pacers in dead last as they've been the whole year, which is very shocking. 13-37. They just have 2 more losses than the Nets and the Wizards, or else they can move up a little bit. But the Pacers have been playing a little better lately. But those are Eastern Conference standings. Have been a little bit of movement, but the last couple of weeks kind of been more steady. Anything you have on the East, and then you can just take over for the West, because the West is a bloodbath so far this year.
Now, the only thing I'll say about the East is, really nice to see Detroit just keep the momentum going from last season. Like, they've been outstanding. And Charlotte, watch out. Like, I know we were touching on that, but love Con Kneppel. I think he's been great. He's such a great piece. But yeah, I think they could be not a playoff contender, but maybe a little sneaky play-in contender, maybe like a little play-in dark horse, maybe. Yeah, at least be a competitive play-in team.
And I think that if they play a particular team in the first round at the top of the East, they can give them some trouble. At least, yeah. Maybe not win. I wouldn't say win the series, but maybe a 6-game series compared to a team that was looking for a sweep or a 5-game series, push them a little more. I could see that happening. I could see that definitely happening with the way they've been playing lately. I don't know if they can keep that up, but if they can, that would be nice.
All right, so now the Western Conference, obviously number 1, OKC, just continuing to dominate, even though San Antonio got their number this season. I know Oklahoma finally beat them at some point this season. And then speaking of San Antonio, they're number 2 at 33-16. They've looked good this year. Denver at 3 at 33-17. They've been holding their own with Jokic being out, but I think Jokic is back, I believe. Number 4, the Rockets with KD, 31-17. They've looked great. They've been streaking as of late. I could see them to be a force to be reckoned with the postseason if all goes according to plan.
My finals pick.
Number 5, the Timberwolves at 31-20, and they could get Giannis, JD. Unfortunately,
Corey,
they're
what's
there.
making me a little upset about this is they were saying the package that the Knicks sent for Karl Anthony Towns, they would have that and more included for Giannis. So we might actually indirectly help the Timberwolves get Giannis, which is that would just break my heart. But hopefully that's not the case, because they're good. So I'm not saying they shouldn't get him, because they're a pretty good team without him. And if they could bring him in there, that could help them a lot. So they're a good team. They're scary. I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
The Lakers, number 6 at 29-19. They've been good this year. You saw them against the Knicks. They gave them a run for their money till late in that one. Number 7, the Suns. Again, the West is from really, the 2 seed down. It's just kind of back and forth, close as we expected. The Suns are in the play-in right now. Last game had a bad loss to the Clippers. Really didn't play that good. Kawhi had 25, and I think we got out rebounded by a large margin. I think it was like 20 or 30, like just efficiently. But they play Portland tonight, I believe. Golden State's at an 8. They've been kind of floating around this year. And again, we didn't mention before, but with Draymond Green, I heard there was rumors he might get traded. I think we've known that the dynasty is over. They're kind of just in the middle of the pack with how good the West has been. Yeah. So we'll see if they somehow could be competitive, maybe make a jump out of the play-in if possible. The Clippers are 9 right now at 23-26. Like I said, they lost today. I think they played today. But they've been getting hot at the right time, and they just made that trade. Number 10 with the Trailblazers, 23-27. They're stinking right now. There's I don't have much to say about Portland. And then obviously the teams outside of the play-in, Memphis, I think they're just going to get worse if they get rid of Ja, and just they're in whole reset mode, like we were saying. Dallas under them at 19-30, they stink. I mean, I know Cooper Flagg's been playing great, but they can't win around him right now. He had a couple 40 pieces, and they just couldn't come away with the win, and that's how it's kind of been this year. And then obviously the cellar dwellers, the Utah Jazz at 15-35. Yeah, we didn't expect much. And the Pelicans, the fans don't show up there anymore at the Smoothie King Center. Yeah. They quit, yeah. And the Sacramento Kings, they mega stink. I didn't think they were going to be good, but wow, I did not expect them to be this bad. So they're terrible this year. They have no shot. Might as well pack it in, tank for a number one pick if you want. And no lighting the beam this year in Sacramento too frequently. So
they've had rough times there, and the entire West after Portland, they just don't even have 20 wins yet, which shows that the West is very good. And then there's a huge, you could see it. You
drop off,
fall down a nice cliff after that. But Portland, I just wanted to add that the fact I give them credit just because of what they had to go through this year, losing their head coach after the first game of the year. That's a lot to overcome, and they're a very young team. And they've overcome that for the most part, I should say. And then the Clippers as well. They started out terribly. Like they were really bad. They've been on a nice streak. I think they're like 15-5 in their last 20. I think even better than that, actually. So those two teams look like they're going to be those last two play-in spots, because the rest of those, I think Dallas is going to trade Anthony Davis if a team believes he can stay healthy for them for the rest of the year. Utah is going to be all right, but they're not going to be able to overcome the hole they've dug for themselves. The Pelicans, I think they're going to trade some players. Kings are just a mess. And then the Grizzlies, we talked about them. I think they're going to just get rid of everyone that they have there. So it seems like the teams that are in playoff positioning for the West right now are going to be the teams. Yeah, the seeding may change, but it seems like the teams itself are, they're locked in for the most part. Let's go to hockey. Then we'll do college basketball top 25. How you doing? And then the pick 'em before we sign off here. So let's do it. Hockey, Lightning, historic comeback. So Corey, I'm gonna let you talk about this one because I saw you post it a few different times about that game was crazy with the Lightning and the Bruins and the outdoor classic in Tampa at the Buck Stadium, I believe. Talk to me about the historic comeback and then the fight between the goalies, Vasilevsky and Swayman, man. I've never seen that before. And I made a joke on TikTok. I reposted it, and I was like, what you call it? The Karl Anthony Towns should learn some techniques from these guys. They actually know how to fight. He would have went like this. Don't hit me. No, I'm good. Don't hit me. That's funny. That's funny, man. All right. What do you this game? Just talk about whatever. Just how historic comeback for the Lightning, and then the goalies just going there throwing haymakers at each other.
Well, we'll get the UFC fight out of the way. Swayman and Vasilevsky. Didn't expect that, honestly. I mean, you rarely see that. Yeah, I mean, you see it from time to time in hockey games, but I don't think it's ever happened in an outdoor game as far as I can remember, watching the sport. Just a riveting, just that brought the excitement, especially at that stadium. Just the energy was crazy. And the game itself, I mean, Tampa Bay did not expect them to be this much of a force this season. Last year they were good, but the way they're playing this year, they're looking like cup contenders, like they were, back in 2021, like kind of that stretch. I won't talk about
already.
Yeah, I won't talk about the Mickey Mouse Cup in 2020. But yeah, they have been on fire. I think the stat, their last 16 games, I could be completely wrong. They're 15-1 or 14-2. Like, they've been unbelievable, the stretch of games. But first period, I mean, Boston jumped out in front 3-1. I mean, you got goals from Steves and Geeky, Arvidsson on the power play. Boston had the advantage. And then early in that second period, I mean, Poitras adds that other one, and it's 4-1, right out of the gate. And, Boston shocked me too. Boston was not very good last season. They just had such a down year and, a lot of moving pieces, and they just didn't look like themselves. I mean, Pasternak was one of the consistent pieces that was playing well, and then Geeky makes it 5-1, and you got to think, well, we got 10 minutes left in the second period. I mean, this game might be already over. And all of a sudden, when they say to stay out of the box and play more discipline, comes back and bites the Bruins in the butt. I mean, Bjornstrand on the power play, Radish on the power play. Next thing you know, it's 5-3. And then Nick Paul, like 20 seconds later. So in a matter of a 4 or 5, 6 minute span, a 5-1 lead is now 5-4. And then in the third period, who else but Nikita Kucherov tying it up?
Yes.
Just a great goal. He's been on fire this season. And then obviously OT didn't amount to anything. And of course, Pittsburgh Penguin legend Jake Gensel getting the winner in the shootout. It was nice to see him get a game winner in the outdoor game. But man, what a comeback from Tampa Bay. Lightning are for real. And, as a Penguins fan, which we'll get into when we talk about our teams, I don't want to face them. They are scary this year. And, Vasilevsky's been playing good like he usually does. Everything is right in Tampa. And, but just the game as a whole, one of the more exciting outdoor games I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I didn't really watch the whole thing. That's why I wanted to give you the floor, because you can break it down much more than I can. I don't think anyone wants to really hear me break down hockey, but it was just from seeing, the clips, it looked very entertaining, just the comeback and the fight and everything like that, which is really, really cool. And then some other cool events coming up for hockey. I mean, these are the last, after tonight, there's 2 more days. So tonight and then 3 days of regular season hockey, of course. And then they're going to take a break for the rest of the month because the Olympics, which I know me and Corey haven't ironed out the details just yet, because we have to find out exactly when this, the scheduling, because the schedule is out. But when we can actually fit this in, because they play at weird times just because it's not here, obviously, in the U.S. But Team USA, their first game against Latvia is next week. So next Thursday, I believe. Yeah, next Thursday. They'll be playing them at 3:10 p.m. So I won't be able to, I already know in advance, I won't be able to do that as a stream. But in the future, we want to try to get maybe a game or two of the Olympics U.S. Playing, if we can get them on there as well. So that'll be fun. And then let's do the standings update. So let's do NHL standings. We can do the West first. So I'll do the West, and then Biggie, I'm sorry, Corey can take over the East. I'm so used to saying that. But before that, I just want to thank you guys. Great job. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you as well. Appreciate it. Let's do the West. So we got Colorado as your number 1 seed. I mean, they've just been incredible. They're still this amazes me every single week, the fact that they're in single-digit losses this late into the season. I know overtime losses, yeah, but regulation losses, they're still in the single digits. It just blows my mind. But they haven't been playing, as good as they usually are. Like the Wild, they're coming for them a little bit. They're in second. Wild are 33-14-10 with 76 points. They're on a 4-game winning streak. So the Wild are only 5 points. The Avalanche, have had a great year. Avalanche also have 3 games in hand, so they win 2 or 3 of those. The points kind of separate a little more. But the Wild have had as much as the Avalanche have had a great year. The Wild have had just as good. Then we got the Dallas Stars at 33-14-9 with 75 points. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're 1 less game than the Wild, so that can change things. And then the drop-off, which I've been talking about every week. Utah Mammoth, 29-23-4 at 62 points. So good year, but not with the big boys at the top. Then we got the Predators, 26-23-6 with 58 points. You got the Blackhawks, 22-25-9 with 53 points. Winnipeg Jets, 22-25-8 with 52 points. And then the Blues at 20-27-9 with 49 points. So you can see it. It's the Avalanche, Wild, and Stars, and the Mammoth, Predators. And then the rest, the Blackhawks, Jets. And Jets have something in common with the New York Jets, so stinking it up. The Pacific Division, we got the Vegas Golden Knights, 25-16-14. So a lot of overtime losses, which is unusual for a good team with 64 points. They have lost 5 in a row, so Vegas has not been on a good streak lately. Edmonton Oilers, always up at the top of the standings with the guys they got, and I'm kind of selfishly rooting for this. I want to see Artemi Panarin on the Oilers. Imagine how good that line would be.
Him, yeah. McDavid, yeah.
That they would score like a game or two, every time, a goal or two every single game on that line. Then the Kraken at 26, 19, and 9 with 61 points. They're on a 4-game heater, so they're coming for first place. Watch out for them. Anaheim Ducks 29, 23, and 3 with 61 points, so they're right there as well. Then we got the Kings at 23, 17, and 14 with 60 points. San Jose Sharks 27, 23, and 4 with 58 points. They're on a 3-game losing streak. Calgary Flames 22, 27, and 6 with 50 points, so they're a losing record. And the Vancouver Canucks, god awful, 18, 13, 18, 32, and 6 with 42 points. But before I end that, I just want to do teams in playoff positioning first. Avalanche, of course, Wild, and Dallas Stars top 3 in the Central. Vegas, Edmonton, and Seattle top 3 in the Pacific. Then the wild card is the Mammoth and the Anaheim Ducks, 62 and 61 points. Then right there in the hunt, Kings with 60 points, Sharks with 58, Nashville with 58. And then there's that drop-off like we were talking about, Blackhawks with 53. So there's pretty much 5 teams for the 2 wildcard spots, the 2 that are in it and 3 outside looking in the West. But, Corey, what do we got going on in the East? Because I think it's a little tighter in the Eastern Conference.
Well, the East, we'll start in the Atlantic Division. Tampa Bay Lightning, like we said, 35, 14, and 4. They have been playing lights out. Their last 10 games have been just unreal. Right below them, though, the Detroit Red Wings, which is they've been a shocker team for me this year, 33, 18, and 6. They have been kind of just been some mid to just not good years for the longest time. And with Patrick Kane, being there, and, I think this is his second year, if I am, recalling correctly. I don't know, everything's just working right. He passed Mike Modano's all-time point record for a U.S.-born player. Wow. So now he holds that record. And, 33, 18, and 6, 72 points. They have been playing really good this year, and I think they could do some dangerous things in the postseason. Then right below them, the Montreal Canadiens, 31, 17, and 8. That younger core, they've been playing good. Their last 5 games, not so much, but they still have some bright spots. This is a shocker. Buffalo Sabres, 32, 18, and 5. A team at one point that won 10 straight this year, which they've done that before, and then usually they lose 10 in a row and then just decide to stink up the joint. But, man, they have been playing very, very good, and Tage Thompson's just an absolute beast. That lineup, they have a lot of shining stars on that team. Boston Bruins, like we said, 32, 20, and 4, 68 points. The Ottawa Senators, 27, 21, and 7. They've been kind of this year, but their last 10 games, especially they're on a 4-game heater, they beat my Penguins, which we'll get into. They're starting to heat up at the right time, and they got Linus Ullmark back, who was on leave, so it's good to see him back, and he won his first 2 starts. Maple Leafs, funny, how about this? The Maple Leafs, 26, 21, and 9, and the Florida Panthers, the 2-time defending champs, right underneath. I knew the minute Marner was leaving the Maple Leafs, I knew there was going to be trouble brewing, and it's shown. They've just been very inconsistent this year. Their last 10 games have not been good. And the Panthers, too, they've dropped 4 in a row, and I know they've had a lot of injuries. Kachuk's been out, which he's back, but they're just not clicking right now. And I just think with how far behind the 8 ball they are, I think if they can't get it going in this month, I think they're done. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. The Metropolitan, the Hurricanes have been excellent, 34, 15, and 6. We expected that. Have been great their last 10 games. My Pittsburgh Penguins, I'll just say they're 28, 15, and 11. I'll hold my opinion when we talk about them. The New York Islanders, they have been playing well also, 30, 21, and 5. Did not expect that, but again, when you get that Schaefer, who's been excellent, just an excellent piece, and that's actually wanting Islander fans to come back and watch games, because at some point, like last season, they were not good at all. So they're in the race of things too. The Metropolitan's been tight. Washington's right behind at 28, 22, and 7. They just haven't looked the same like they did last year. Columbus, 27, 20, and 7, but they have been on fire their last 10 games. They've won 5 in a row, 9 of their last 10. They have been excellent. Do I think they're going to be a playoff team? I don't think so. I just think the Metropolitan, the teams above them, are just too good, and a lot of the teams in the East. The Flyers, 24, 20, and 10, and they stink. I had high hopes for them in the beginning of the year, and as of late, they have just been laying some some goose eggs, some bad games. They have just not looked good. And the Devils 28-25-2, and the Rangers 22-28-6. The Devils just haven't been all there. And the Rangers, a surprise to me is, we've talked off camera and you've vented off camera about just how bad they've been at home. It has been, you think at the Garden, like, the home of the Rangers, that's been for a long time, and just the aura and the feeling you get at MSG, and usually they play good at home, and that has just not been the case this year. And then obviously we look at the playoffs as you did. The Lightning, Red Wings, and Canadiens, the three in the Atlantic. Hurricanes, Penguins, and Islanders, Metropolitan. While the Sabres and the Bruins in the wild card. Sabres have the one in the wild card. And obviously all the other teams below just missing. But as a Penguins fan, we're kind of might transition into that. But they might be back, maybe.
Corey, hopefully for you, you deserve it. You deserve a little playoff run from one of your teams, because your football team makes it, but they don't really do anything after that. But let's do college basketball top 25 check-in really quickly, because we're going to hold off on the analysis for that, just because right now it's kind of the dog days of the regular season in college. Like, they're almost there, but they're not there just yet. And then we'll do how you doing in our pick 'em very quickly at the end. But top 25, I'll kick us off with the first 13, and then Corey will slide right in with his favorite team, which is perfect segue when we get to it. But number one, we got the Arizona Wildcats, undefeated still, 22-0, 9-0 in the conference on the Big 12. Michigan, 10-1 in the conference, 20-1 on the year. UConn, 21-1, 11-0. They're coming in at number 3. Duke, 21-1. They've been incredible. I've watched a few of those games because my brother's a Duke fan, so I've got to see them a little up close and personal. Cameron Booz is going to be a very good NBA player in the coming years once he gets, declares for the draft after this college season. They're 10-0 in the ACC. The ACC has been pretty good, and they haven't lost one game yet. Illinois, 19-3. So they have 3 losses, but they have really, really good wins this year. They've always been a pretty good team, in this recent stretch since like kind of COVID year. They've been really good after that. They're 10-1 in the conference as well. Gonzaga, always solid, 22-1. 10-0 in the conference, which you don't really buy stock into their conference record because the conference is not that great, the West Coast Conference. So you don't really buy stock into that, just how they look in non-conference, which they look pretty good. And then we'll see what happens when they get to the postseason. Then Iowa State, 20-2 on the year, 7-2 in the conference. I actually think they're the most dangerous team in the top 25, even though they're number 7, which shows how good college is this year. Houston, 19-2, 7-1. In the conference, always playing great defense. That's just what they're known for. They've let up, I think, one of the least. I think they have like a top 5 defense in the nation once again this year. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy how good they are defensively, and it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who their roster is. Doesn't matter, who they're playing. They just keep everyone under wraps, and they're just able to overcome everything. Then number 9, Nebraska, very much a surprise. They're 20-2 on the year, 9-2 in the Big Ten. Then Michigan State, 19-3, 9-2 in the Big Ten as well. So those 2 teams are up there in the Big Ten at the top of the conference. Then Kansas, 17-5, 7-2 in the conference. They're another team. Their losses against really good teams, so you can't really penalize them for that. It's just that they've played a really good schedule, and they've won, obviously most of the games they played, but you can't win them all. Then we got Purdue. Purdue's back a little bit, 18-4 on the year, 8-3 in the conference. And then Texas Tech, 16-6, 6-3 in the conference. They lost last night, so I think they're going to drop down a little bit in the rankings. They also have lost 2 in a row now, so they're definitely gonna slip down in the rankings a little bit. But Corey, pick it up from here with your favorite team. Your favorite team's back a little bit, the Tar Heels.
Yeah, North Carolina, 17-4, 14th rank. Yeah, this is what we like to see. Caleb Wilson's been great.
Really,
I know. You and a good fellow classmate, Soren Swanson, did not agree that UNC should have made the tournament. I may have some bias, but still they are playing much better, so we don't have to argue about that this year as long as they don't, lose out the rest of the season. Yeah. Vanderbilt at 15, 19-3. They've had a couple losses, but against good teams. I think they lost to Texas Tech. But, good to see them up there. BYU, 17-4. They got a dog. I can never pronounce his last name, but AJ DiBansa. Is that how you say it?
DiBansa, something like that.
I think I say it. He's a dog. And BYU, they've been playing really good this year. Number 17, Florida, 16-6. I have a buddy of mine who's a Florida fan. He thinks they're not as good as, they were last year, but, still in the rankings.
That.
Yeah, it's hard to replicate that. They're 16-6, still a winning team. They went up 2 spots. The defending champs trying to defend again. Virginia at 18-3, they moved down a spot. St. Louis at 19 at 21-1, they've gone up 2 spots. That's a shocker. Clemson, number 20, 18-4. This is not their football team, not Dabo Swinney. They went up 2 spots. Arkansas, 16-6. They're 21, a tough loss, so they go down 6 spots. And Calipari's probably not too happy with, how the team's been performing. They've been fine. And then number 22, St. John's, 16-5. John, I know you want to talk about them. They're in the rankings. Number 23, though, this has been a shocker to me. Miami, Ohio, 22-0. Shout out to Ben Roethlisberger. This team, it's been a shock to see them, because when I'm looking, I'm like, am I seeing this right? Like Miami, Ohio.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
And number 24, Louisville, 15-6. They're gone down 4 spots, and then Tennessee just cracking the top 25 at 15-6.
All right, there we go. That's your college basketball rankings. That perfect segue into how you doing. I'll kick us off here. So how you doing? Obviously, for new viewers, maybe we got some new viewers to support Corey tonight and stuff like that. It's just basically both of us are just going to give our feelings on what our teams are doing. Maybe we're happy, maybe we're not, whatever the case may be. I'm usually upset about one particular team. It's just, there's nothing I can even do about it at this point, but it is what it is. But I'll start with St. John just because we just talked about college ball. But St. John's 16-5 on the year. Their losses, a lot of them happened in the beginning of the year. The wake-up call, though, the turning point of the season was January 3rd. They lost to Providence at home. They had a big lead. They blew it. They couldn't make a shot in the second half. They have yet to lose since that game. They've won 7 in a row. Could make it 8 tonight when they played where they're actually playing right now. DePaul in the second half. They're up by 8 points as well. So if they hold on in that game, that gets them to an 8-game winning streak when we have a heavyweight matchup Friday night against UConn. So that's that you're getting the best of the best in the Big East, because St. John's is in second place. So I'm very excited for that one on Friday night at home at the Garden too. So that's going to be electric, atmosphere. But they turned it on. Rick Pitino, he got under their skin a little bit. Let's put it that way. But he got to them. He sent them a message, and they responded. And they have not stopped winning, which is great. And I think they're actually showing what they could have been at the beginning of the year. They played a very tough non-conference schedule. I didn't think they were ready for it that early. This whole roster for the most part is guys that didn't really play together before they started practicing in the summer. So it's very tough to go from summer practices to playing teams like Alabama, Iowa State, and Auburn in your first 8 games. That's very difficult, to do that. So you're going to drop some games like that. And now they figured it out, which, like I said, is great. And I hope they can keep that going. And we'll see Friday how good they really are. Because I think right now they're a second-round exit in the tournament, maybe Sweet 16 exit. I think they can win 2 or 3 games in the tournament. But if you beat UConn, I think that just jumps even more. Okay, we just beat the number 3 team in the country. We are actually even better than what we should be right now. Let's keep going for it. So we'll see what happens with that. That's going to be a nice test. We got to keep holding on to tonight. Then the Knicks, they just won, so they're 32-18 on the year. Nice 30-point victory over the Wizards. And the starters didn't play very much tonight because they had a nice blowout. So that's perfect for tomorrow night. Brunson played the most minutes at 31, but no one else played more than 30. So that's perfect going into tomorrow night's game against the Nuggets, which should be a nice battle. And they're playing Detroit right now. So that's hopefully they're getting beat up a little bit. Then they come to the Garden tomorrow, and the Knicks, take over a little bit and beat a beat up team in the Denver Nuggets. And also with the Knicks, hopefully they trade for Giannis. If they don't, hopefully Giannis just doesn't get traded in general, so we can get him in the summer. So hopefully he just either stay in Milwaukee or come to New York. That's how I'm seeing it right now. But if they don't trade for him, there's definitely other ways to improve the team. The bench needs to be better. You have 3 guys off the bench that you rely on, and then you have other guys, like Jordan Clarkson, who's fell out of the rotation. He did play tonight, but that's probably a showcase for him to be traded. Yabusele, another guy who they relied upon. I talked about this on the stream. They relied on him to be a good player, and he just was not. So that's another one. So there's a few guys on the bench that aren't that great that they need to, maybe they can ship out and kind of restructure the bench a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Knicks. But they're going in the right direction. 7-game winning streak, playing good basketball right now. Defense has improved tremendously, which is what the ceiling is for this team. They can play legit defense, especially in the postseason. They can beat anybody. It's just they have the offensive firepower. We know that. It's just, if can you actually dig in and play defense for 48 minutes, and they've done it for the last 7 games. Hopefully, they can keep that mentality, that mindset, and just keep going forward with that. Notre Dame, nothing much on them. They're just in the offseason mode now. Mets starting up soon. So, you got spring training coming up in a few weeks. Just gonna pray that every week that none of our guys that are playing in the WBC get injured, because we know what happened last time when one of our star players played there. So hopefully that can just be nice and chill. We don't need to worry about that one. The Jets just get an offensive coordinator. I don't care who the hell you put in there at this point. Just get anyone. I've heard they're down to 3 finalists. They're actually considering bringing in all 3 guys, which is clown show. But that's what they've gotten to at this point. So I don't know what's going on there. Setting up everyone to fail, and hopefully Aaron Glenn is let go at some point, because he is just a joke, and Woody Johnson is also even more of a joke, which we know that's the given at this point. But the whole team is just an embarrassment. And that's really it. The Rangers, I already said I'm nothing much to even talk about them anymore. Just trade off the guys you can trade off. Fix this up a little bit, and next year be a good team, because you didn't bring in Mike Sullivan to suck. that's the easy way to say it. You didn't bring in a guy like that to not be good. You guys gotta be Panarin. You gotta go. He's really not gonna play anymore, regardless. So get him out of here. Any other veterans you can get rid of? Trocheck, good player, but you're gonna probably have to trade him just to get some, at least some kind of assets in return. And hopefully they can improve this thing and get it going next year, because this year is already over. It's lost. But Corey, debut. How you doing, Corey? How we feeling? Let's go, baby.
We're feeling pretty good for the most part. We'll start with the Pittsburgh Penguins, like I alluded to. Definitely a much better season for them compared to last season. I mean, last season they were literally like dead last in goaltending, blowing leads left and right. This year, 28, 15, and 11, second in the Metropolitan, like I said. Early in the year, they were still blowing some leads, made me want to, fully shave off this head of hair. But as of late, though, 6 straight wins. Unfortunately, their game against Ottawa, not good. 3-2, because Arthur Shelov's carried in net, kept us in the game. Malkin had a nice pass to set up Igor Chinnikov for a goal. That Russian connection's been great, but just sloppy, undisciplined, 5 penalties. Just awful, awful, awful. And, going into the third period, I think they had like 10 or 12 shots on goal. Like, it was not good. And Ottawa was running circles around them. And, Giroux had a game winner for the Senators, got tripped by Carlson. Penguins fans disagree. As a Penguins fan, I agreed, that it wasn't goalie interference. It was a good goal. That's how Ottawa won the game. But they got to clean that up, and they play the Islanders. Actually, right now, the game started at 7:30. I don't know how much time is left, but they're playing the Islanders. Yeah, give us a little update with that.
They're up 3-2. They're up 3-2 in the third period.
3-2, all right.
Beginning of the third period, so hold on there. They got to hold on.
The Phoenix Suns, like I alluded to, lost to the Clippers, the end of the 3-game winning streak. Just didn't shoot the ball efficiently, 33%, out-rebounded by 28. I mean, if you're not going to get your own or get rebounds, the Clippers are just going to walk all over you. And, the Clippers shot 52% from the field. Kawhi had 25. It goes on and on. Grayson Allen played good, though, 23 points. They're 30-20 on the year, 7th in the West, and they play Portland tonight at 11. They've looked good, but there's still a lot of areas they still need to clean up, still some holes in this team. UNC, like we said, they've been playing much better this year. They're definitely back. Beat Syracuse, who haven't really been too good this year, 87-77. Caleb Wilson continued to do what he's been doing all season. One point, they were up by as many as 32 in this game, and they kind of let Syracuse crawl back in garbage time. But still, barn burner coming up, JD, Saturday night against Duke. That is going to be a good game in Chapel Hill. Going to be a great game. Hopefully they can get the win and shock some of the analysts who might be going against them. For the Steelers, I didn't write anything because they got Mike McCarthy and got Graham as a defensive
I don't like
coordinator.
that one. I'm going to be honest with you. Don't like Graham.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just glad Arthur Smith is gone. He could take whatever that napkin was to Ohio State, whatever that was. Either way, I've been saying it before. I don't mind Mike McCarthy, but I just feel like the Rooney family had a dartboard with Mike McCarthy in the center, and they took the dart and physically walked over to him and put the dart. Yes, they didn't throw for Kubiak was there, Minter was there. No, we're not going to throw the dart. We're just going to simply place it to Mike McCarthy because he's a Pittsburgh native. That's how I feel. I think it's going to be the same stuff. I do think Rodgers is coming back at least for another season. I do think, because I just think the opportunity is too good to pass up. For nostalgia, we know Aaron Rodgers loves nostalgia and loves, being the center of attention. I mean, think about the headlines: Mike McCarthy and Rodgers reunite for the one last send off. Like, that's what it's going to be. Steelers will go 9-8 again, and can't wait for to start all over again. And then of course, for the Blue Jays, they're in off-season mode. The baseball classics coming up. Traded Bo Bichette to your Mets a little while back, which still thinking about. I was talking to you about that. Hopefully the Mets could take care of him and he does good in New York.
I hope so. Yeah, I talked about him in one of the videos I made about the on Instagram and TikTok, that I'm very excited for Bo Bichette. But let's do the pick 'em here, and then we'll sign off. We've had I think we've done a great job. We got some comments as well. Really good show, smooth running. Me and Corey haven't did a show together in a while, and it doesn't seem that way. It seems like we're going just like we were a few months back. I'm at 30-25. Big E's at 26-29. So college football ending and the playoffs have helped Biggie tremendously, because I had like a 12-game lead on him, and it just continues to get worse for me. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks this week. Corey's going to go with the Seahawks, but I want to hear Corey's. I know we talked about it more in the beginning, like what we broke it down, but any little thoughts on that to close off? And Biggie didn't give me his pick, but from knowing the way he's been talking about the Seahawks, he's going to go with the Seahawks as well. So JD Seahawks, Corey Seahawks, and Biggie Seahawks as well. But any in-game thoughts you had on that as well? Because I know we did it a lot before, but anything that maybe you forgot or that you want to reassure the viewers?
No, the only thing I will say, because I didn't want to spoil it, but now that we've said who we're picking, I just think Seahawks being the most complete team, their defense is great. I just don't see – I think it's going to be a great game. If I had to go score-wise, I think it'll be like 20-10 Seattle. I think Seattle. I think Sam Darnold's going to have a great day. I think he'll be tested at times, but I think it's going to be like that game against Houston, where Drake May, I think, will play better. But I just think Sam Darnold and Drake May, I think both of them are going to kind of get going a little late, but I think Sam Darnold's going to put up more of an offensive performance late in the game than Drake May would. I think Drake May will have, a couple big chunk plays, and then maybe they'll get set up into field goal range, or they'll go for it on fourth down and they get stopped. But I think Seattle's the complete team, and I think that's what the script writers want. I think they want the Seahawks to get their get back on New England, and I think Seahawks are going to lift the Lombardi this year.
I agree. I just think that the Seahawks are just being complete, like you said, is just too much to overcome, especially if the Patriots, which they have throughout the entire playoffs, they have been able to overcome mistakes, but against the Seahawks team that's that complete, you're not going to be able to overcome mistakes. And I feel like a mistake or two may happen, maybe a fumble by a running back, an interception by Drake May. It's going to be a little too much for them to overcome. I completely agree. I'm going to go with Seattle as well. Make sure everyone clips that, because we all went with the Seahawks, so something bad is going to happen. Something bad may happen, involved with our picks. But any thoughts just as a whole, Corey? Because we just went over 2 hours. We talked through all different sports. Very happy we were able to come on and make your, co-hosting debut, because Sunday was just like a warm-up. The streams were kind of just relaxed. This was like we really dug in. We locked in, and we had a good time for over 2 hours, like I was saying. But anything right before we sign off here?
No, I had a great time. I mean, it's good to get back. I was getting my feet a little wet, with the Knicks stream, but it feels good to kind of do a deep dive and, all that fun stuff. And again, I mean, me and you just bounce off real well. So it was, a good show, and a quick, almost 2 hours and 10 minutes. I mean, that was fast.
It did.
So,
It
but
just
yeah,
flew
no, it
by.
was a great show.
Without a doubt, man. It flew by. Great show as well. Just in terms of what we're going to be doing soon, I'll have depending on if the Knicks get Giannis or not, I will definitely do an episode video, whatever, quickly. That'll be out. Sunday afternoon at 12:30 if you want to be a guest, Knicks versus Celtics. So, you're thinking about Sunday, the Super Bowl, but this game will be over by 3 o'clock, so you'll be able to, have plenty of rest before the Super Bowl starts. So make sure you guys pop in and out, leave comments, whatever you guys want to do. If you want to be a guest, just reach out and we'll get you on like we usually do, whoever the guests are for that particular show. But yeah, that's going to do it, man, for episode 95. We appreciate the support. Follow us on the social media handles that we're going through, throughout the entire there you go, pointing down at the bottom throughout the entire show. But that's going to do it, man. I appreciate everyone for coming on. Thank you, and see you next time.